Debbie, I'm sure will be coming any moment. Dina, do you want to do roll call, I guess?
Sure.
Official.
I just looked up to see if he's on.
Yeah. He's good.
Do they actually get to go home?
Okay, Terry Whitaker,
Here.
Debbie Yates, Christina Costable.
Here.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
Okay. Melinda Tan.
Here.
Daryl McCool.
Here.
Marcia Wren.
Rain. Here.
Claire Dixon.
And she's not here. I think I actually said constable when I introduced you.
Oh, that happens.
And I was like, then I heard you pronounce it. I was like, oh, whoops.
It's Italian anyway, so it's not pronounced. You know, it's like one of those things. I say it differently too all the time. So.
Stabile.
Yep. There you go.
Okay, so next thing is the approval of the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Any changes?
Yep. I move that we accept the agenda as written.
Okay, second, anyone?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the first item, here's Debbie. Yay.
Oh, hippie in here. And I'm like never cold.
Here, I brought your bag. You can wear that to cover up if you need.
There's the shirts over there too.
Yeah, there's a drape the shirts on you.
Okay, you're just in time. We started item number 5, discussion item, creative placemaking master plan update from Happy City. And
So,
we are
somebody could dial on that phone right there.
having,
Dial this number here.
Terry.
Sorry.
do you have to dial 9? Okay,
And then push the telephone on the left.
Oh, there you
okay.
go. See him.
Welcome to Join
And
Me.
then dial this.
Please enter your conference ID and press the pound key.
240-919-648.
Does he know we can see him?
You will now be placed into the conference.
We see you.
Well, sort of. Hey.
Can we hear him?
How's everyone doing this evening?
Oh, good.
Oh, good. Yeah, hi.
Good.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
I can hear
Okay,
you.
good. All right,
Can you hear
great.
me?
Yeah, yes.
You want to go around the room and say who's here? Because half the room is dark.
That's good.
Hi, Debbie Yates.
Melinda.
Christina.
Terry.
Daryl,
Marcia.
you're out of the picture entirely.
Marcia.
And could you hear everybody okay?
I can hear everyone loud and clear.
Okay, great.
Oh, technology.
Okay, so we are looking forward to the update from you.
So I'm passing out his agenda. And so they have your agenda in front of you, in front of them in just a moment. And then just let me know when you want me to hand out the project timeline.
Sure. You can do that, I think, now as well.
Okay. That's that 4-page update that you
Great.
guys all saw by email a few days ago. Maybe.
Yeah, you sent it with the agenda.
Great.
Okay, we're all passed out.
Okay.
That sounds
I haven't
better
even
than-
started talking yet. Let's hope we don't fall asleep for a few minutes. So I thought the first thing we could do is just quickly review the last week or so. Quickly just noting, we did the well-being workshop on Thursday night. So even before that, so we conducted a number of additional interviews, both on the phone prior to arriving in Superior, and then once we had gotten there as well. So we talked to a few of the trustees and a former trustee. We have one more of those interviews to conduct next week, but we've spoken to a number of the folks. We have a couple of outstanding interviews, which we can get to momentarily. But that led into the Wellbeing Workshop, which occurred Thursday night and was attended by a number of you. From my perspective, that was a very successful evening. We appreciated all the input that we received there. I think equally important, there were a lot of good ideas, but there was also just, a lot of interest, and we saw, where certain ideas were coalescing. That year-round community space that serves all ages was a really big one. There were a few others as well, and so I've passed that on to my team, and we're looking at putting that into, or digitizing a lot of that information over the next week or so. And maybe as we go, we'll just go event by event, but did you have any feedback on the workshop last Thursday?
Personally, I thought it was fantastic. I felt like the energy in the room was really great, and it felt like a lot of people that may not have understood what we were doing actually figured it out a little bit. So I think that was really helpful. The one question I do have before we jump into that is, so you talked about these additional interviews. I wonder if you'd share with us exactly who those people are so that we know, so we're not repeating ourselves when we give you people that we think should be interviewed.
Sure.
Okay.
So on the interview front, of the original 6, one outstanding is the either long-term residence or historian component, which that was criteria that we had sent over, and we're open to your recommendations on who we should speak with there. The additional ones were with Trustee Składzinski, Trustee Shaw, Trustee Lish, and former Trustee Sandy Pennington. And next week we have one with Trustee Lasis. And the remaining trustees have been invited. It appears for now that that won't be necessary, but they understand that we are open to further communication should that be necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Did you talk to Sandy Hammerly?
Sounds like she.
I had reached out
Someone had a
to
question
Trustee Hammerly
real quick.
A couple of times, and then spoke with her at the workshop as well.
Wait a
She
second,
said
Mitchell.
that
He's
she was
talking to
He's
respond to
answering the
it.
question.
Oh, okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, sorry, I heard someone whisper over here.
And you heard it. That's
And
how
you heard
intense
that?
it was. Yeah.
I heard
He was responding to it. Yeah,
for
that's
you.
intense.
Thank you. We'll get used to this speakerphone thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So Sandy Hammerly, and you already talked to Clint, so Folsom.
Yeah.
And so what was the scoop with Sandy Hammerly?
So we reached out
Okay.
and followed up with her, and then I spoke with her in person at the workshop, and she said that she did not need an interview at this time, but I let her know that, the lines of communication are open, and so if she would like to have one at a later date, we're open to that as well.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Okay, and then sorry, I made you go back a little bit, but now we're on to talking about the well-being workshop, and I told you what I thought, but I thought we could go around the room and people could give their input as well.
Well, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed hearing everybody's feedback on what they thought was important. So that was, it brought up some ideas I hadn't thought about, so that was good.
I also thought it was really nice and enjoyed my time, and I think it'll be good to have, bring in more of the community as next steps and have some diversity, more diversity. And yeah, but it was really good to see.
It was great. It was fun. It was interesting. Everyone was engaged, a lot of really good ideas, and that filtering them down to the last activity was very interesting.
Yeah, I think it was successful. Also because the people that were there really wanted to be there. They kind of knew what was coming and they were there to learn. So, that's the best kind of audience, is one that wants to be there.
Definitely.
That's an important point, because I, shamed my neighbors into attending Tuesday nights talk, and they did not want to be there. They were the ones that showed up late and left early, right? So they were just doing me a favor. They, despite, knowing how involved I am and knowing what's up, they just really couldn't care less. So, and that's the component I was talking to you about. So, there are those people out there. So,
I had neighbors that wanted to be there but couldn't be there. So
Yeah.
there were people also that wanted to be there that couldn't go to this one as
Yes,
well.
I think that the short timeline, there were actually,
Yeah, it was hard.
when I sent out the emails, I'm guessing I got responses back from at least 7 different parties that said they would love to do something like this. So,
Great. Let's park this conversation for just a minute. We'll come back to that once we've done our initial review.
Great.
But that's important on both accounts. And thank you. We really thought it went well. The ideas were great. The one thing I really, really enjoyed and appreciated was the laughter all the way to the end. Folks really wanted to participate, and they were really happy to do so. So that was nice, especially given that it was 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours long, and to see that level of involvement throughout was really nice. And that brought us to the Superior Spectacular. This event was unfortunately cut short, but the turnout was remarkable, especially given that it had been raining beforehand, and then of course just the skies opened up within an hour of the event starting. It was nice to be able to interact with a broader array of people, meeting folks who had come to Superior for the first time, as well as long-term residents. Daryl, thank you to you and your husband for handing out popcorn. That was great. So overall, the key challenge here was just the weather, and unfortunately we aren't able to control that. But for the short amount of time, we felt the event went well. Of course, we did not get as much feedback and opportunity to promote the final event during that because of just how short it was.
Do you know how many people you spoke to?
We spoke, in terms of individual interactions, we were, I think, around 75 or 80, from popcorn to photos to just talking to people. I think photo-wise, we got approximately 20 photos, 15 to 20, and that was in part because from the time you took the photo to the printing, it took approximately 3 minutes. And so in the course of an hour, I think we were doing a photo approximately every 3 minutes. And I haven't counted the bags of popcorn that we have left, but I would also be curious to see how many bags of popcorn were handed out, and we do have those.
I would tell you that it was mostly to children, and it was a lot. We went through all that popcorn, as you know, and we had to go buy more. But it was pretty extensive. We had a long line at one point in time, so.
So perhaps not the audience that's going to be following up at the dialogue on Tuesday, but
right.
Who were happy to eat some popcorn.
Oh, they loved it. Loved it.
Great. And yes, it was relatively short. I don't know if we need to do the full round of feedback on that activity. It was too bad to have it cut short for a couple of reasons. One, it diminished our opportunity to promote the dialogue on Tuesday, and second, it really limited our tacit interaction with folks who would perhaps have been interested but just don't have that much information yet. And then we had the third event, the dialogue on Tuesday. We, through the engagement stations, got some really good feedback on, where people's priorities lie, on their favorite locations throughout Superior, and in the I wish Superior had chalkboard. And that looked quite nice as well. And among those activities, I know Superior has this chalkboard that can be used for any event related to this or otherwise. You've got that giant sandwich board map component, and the photo the painting that Jesse Van Horn completed together with the children. Sorry, my lights are going out, so I'm just gonna, there we go. I have to move around a lot. So that event, we would have benefited from greater attendance, of course, but we were appreciative of the folks who were there, and it was a good opportunity to gather some of the materials we had. I think attendance, in part, because of the limited promotion as a result of Superior Spectacular, and then with the ask to have folks come for a couple of hours can be tricky as well. Do you have any feedback on that?
I had a couple thoughts. I always kind of tap into like friends and my kids, and two of the comments that they had were, when you see the flyer, again, a lot of people don't quite understand. I mean, I think a lot of people feel, oh, I'd really like to see this and I'd really like to see that, but they didn't quite understand the wording in the well-being using creative placemaking or whatever it was on the flyer. So maybe next time have something that's almost a tagline type of intro that they would pick up in their email, almost a little bit more creative, like, well, what would you like to see do in the town of Superior kind of thing. And then you can ease that into, we're looking to do the master plan for cultural arts and public spaces. What would you like to see? That kind of thing. So I think a lot of people looked at it and really didn't understand what it was. And the time frame was probably just a little bit too short to really call everybody we know, because there were a lot of probably residents who it would be interesting to get their feedback, HOA presidents, this kind of stuff, and kind of have them attend. The workshop itself was awesome. I mean, the way you structured it, I really liked that you started out with all the interactive events, basically, when people walked in. So that was really cool. So it got them thinking, and then you transitioned almost into the TED Talk part. So then, you melded the two together, which I think was really good. So it's really more a matter of how can the flyer promotion be a little bit more effective to get more people in to get that, that perspective and that opinion. I mean, it was disappointing for me when I counted, when I was sitting there was probably, outside of us and town staff, there was probably, 8 people maybe? And it would be great, instead of 8 people, if we had 25 or 30, or, well, in a perfect world, like 50 to 70, so.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think to bring the message quicker to the masses that don't understand the creative placemaking lexicon is basically point, like the stickers, like my station, you've got your 3 stickers. You have to give them pictures that they can relate to, right? So I thought that station was very creative. I mean, it was very important because it opened up their brain to what we're doing.
And it was easy.
Exactly, it was easy. So you could just point and say, ooh, right, like shiny. That, I think we have to bring it down, right, to that level. Yeah, seriously.
Well, I think that's a good point, and I think if we do something at Chili Fest, it should be of that realm. It needs to be a little bit simpler for our audience.
Yeah. That was,
short attention span kind of zone.
Because they don't know what they don't know, right? So they have no idea what we're doing, and if they don't understand the verbiage, then pictures will speak volumes if they can just say, I like that.
Well, it was interesting. I was over at Lifetime, which is the athletic club, at lunch today, and again, this, you hear this, oh, I'd really like to see this, or I want to do this, or why don't we do this? And they don't look at that in terms of even cultural arts and placemaking quite so much, but what they're saying is, what about, doing this? And so I think if you can tap into that whole group of people that are thinking this and would like to see it, but they just don't quite understand what we're doing, and they want to see it. They just don't know how to get it from them to us, basically.
Yeah. And I do think that the main event, the limited time we had to actually advertise, it didn't help the process. I have just sort of a general question. Oh, sorry.
Please go ahead, Daryl.
Just a general question and just a thought that I had in terms of the results and thinking about those, the sticker boards. Because, one of the sticker boards, the murals, which is one of my personal favorites, only had 3. So what I was thinking is, for example, the public doesn't want that per se, but maybe we as a committee feel that that's an important component. How does that play out in your planning? Is that information you gather from us or?
Wait, can I stop? Since that was my station, lots of people thought murals was kind of a subset of public art. So it's not that they were against the murals, they just, like, if they had to choose one, they just thought, so I think it wasn't necessarily.
That's okay. I'm just using that as an example. So what
Okay,
if one of those components we felt really strongly about and it didn't receive as many stars?
Yeah.
And so we as a committee are like, well, that's great, but we actually really want to go this direction, like I had never really thought about clubs and groups until you put it on the wall.
Well, and the interesting thing about clubs and groups, which I don't know if you heard it or not, but the comment was, well, yeah, we would love to have someplace for seniors. We'd love to have someplace for Cub Scouts or book groups or whatever, story time. But we don't have any place winter-wise to do that. So why would you have the groups and the clubs if you don't have someplace to hold it? I think was somewhat of a trend also.
Well, this is a 5-year plan, so maybe
Yeah.
in the 5-year plan is going to be a place to hold it.
Yeah, no, but I was just, and again, it's just more of an example of like, what if we as a committee feel very strongly about a particular component that the community doesn't feel as strongly about, do we get to override that? Is that something that we're, I just wonder how you look at the data and come up with a final conclusion about things.
Mm-hmm. Well, so we'll be including that question in the digital engagement as well, in an effort to get that really broad one, because that question resonates really well with people both in person and online. So we'll be able to augment that with additional voting. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, we're still sifting through the information, but I suspect at the very least we're going to highlight opportunities to conduct all of these activities. And there will be a prioritization piece where, we will reflect back on the data that we've received. But at the same time, so for instance, when we talk about murals, we will highlight blank facades, because eliminating blank facades is a really direct, has a really direct connection to well-being. So we won't say that you have to do this, but we'll give, say, a cost estimate to do so and say, here are a few different facades that you may choose to activate with murals.
Well, and
then,
well, to Daryl's point, that part of an advisory committee is if you're in that position of almost like leadership. Well, if we have an area that we have done a lot of research in, we've talked about, we've looked at we've gone to the seminars, we've looked at and seen different things, then maybe as an advisory committee under kind of an umbrella of leadership, that's something that we, with the input that Happy City is giving us and all that research and feedback, but then again, when we look at things and what we hear and see, there's something that might be a little bit different, and we kind of almost lead in that direction, what we'd like to see.
Well, and my point also is, we're a new committee. Everything that we've done and we've brought forth in this town, most people have really loved, and I think that that's something to keep in mind as we make this plan, is that people sometimes don't know what they don't know. And when like the house on the corner is a great example of that, really colorful house that sits around the corner. People were aghast when that first went up, and now people love it. And it's a landmark. So I think that's just something I want to keep in mind as we move forward with the whole planning and the process.
Absolutely. And it's something that, when we do the first draft or like the first feedback of the plan, that we can highlight the information and also know where it's coming from. And at that point, we can use it again to kind of measure response to this and then decide, where that priority lies within the town.
Okay.
And with you.
Great, that helps a lot.
Great. And so that summarizes the 3 activities that we conducted last week. And just before moving on, I think it's worth underlining that in the initial proposal that we put together, there was more public engagement in general, but we also had one additional trip in August to kind of spread things out a little bit, and we eliminated that purely on a cost-saving front. And so by combining these events, we were able to align with the budget that was available to the adjusted scope. And with that in mind, we're also open to further adjustments with your thoughts and recommendations. And that leads us well into the next piece. So digital engagement is coming up. We are excited to get started very soon with everything that went on in the lead up to this. We weren't able to get it up and running together with Parks and Rec prior to these events. However, yeah, we're about to start that. And so digital engagement is going to be run by Parks and Rec, and we're going to give some recommended questions and then look at the results. And so we were curious, so first we have a few steps to the process. Based on what we've seen thus far, I think we had originally suggested a 3-step process. And I'm wondering if a 2-step process with extended timelines might better suit the needs we have and ensure that there's adequate time for feedback. The key thing here is that there is this feedback loop. So whenever people are providing input, they see in the next round of questions, like, we heard you, and this is now the next question. So for instance, when we talk about social groups, we can say, we understand, so in the round 1, we would include that same prioritization question. In round 2, if social groups came up as a really big thing, we'd note, okay, we understand social groups are a big piece. Where would you suggest hosting these activities? And we could put, Starbucks in private locations, a new public space, the Louisville Library, and a few other examples. And that gives people, and you put some subtext about, Starbucks, it's a free place for everyone to meet. Louisville Library, it's not in Superior. New public space, year-round public space in Superior, recognize that this costs a substantial amount to renovate and do. So you're giving people the chance to kind of drill deeper while also making sure they understand, they understand that they've been heard. And so we're looking at whether this could be a 2-step process or 3. Given what we've seen and heard thus far, I think 2 would suffice. We could always revisit that at the end of the second step. And just before I open it up for you, I'll just note that what we're planning is to send Dina and Parks and Rec 5 or 6 questions that should be included in the first round by Wednesday next week, and then some sort of follow-up questions that we think would fit from that, recognizing that they'd be tailored a little bit based on the responses we receive. And we were curious whether CAPS would like to review those questions before they go up, and just noting that this would likely extend the timeline a little bit. Or we would tailor the timeline to meet whenever your next meeting is.
I think that I personally would like to review them. I don't know that, can we do it over email, or do we have to have a meeting?
Can't we just do it by email?
This is totally up to you guys. You're more familiar with your bylaws and everything. So from my side, that works great. Recognizing, I believe that decisions are supposed to come in meeting form, and this is a bit of a
I mean, if it's a matter of just providing comments by email, we could do that. But if you guys are finalizing and approving all the questions, then we need to do it in a meeting. So we could have a draft by email, for example, and then at your mid-month in August, you could review it. Your mid-month meetings are going to start being held here now, so you could have a meeting, make a decision on the questions, provide me with the comments, etc. And I was hoping then to launch it August 15th. But I didn't know when your mid-month meeting is going to be, because there's 4 Thursdays. What did we decide? There's 4 Thursdays in August?
It's always the second.
So yours is always the second Thursday. Okay. So the second Thursday is August 8th. So if you are to review the draft questions by email, come to your mid-month meeting August 8th, make a decision, and then I can launch the questionnaire on August 15th.
Right.
So I would not launch the questionnaire on the 15th only because it's the first day of school.
Oh, it's the first day of school.
And it will get lost in the emails of life. So
Okay.
I think we need to pick a different date.
Sure.
And I don't know.
Should it be like August 9th? Or should it be like August 22nd?
No, I'll need time. I need a
Oh,
week.
okay,
Yeah, because
Okay.
I literally am setting up a whole new webpage.
okay.
It's
For
not
this,
just,
okay.
yeah, it's a website service that the town is gonna start using for questionnaires. So it's like our whole, long story short, it's one page of engagement and it's, complicated. I've never used the service before, so I need at least.
No, that's fine.
Is it still Mind Mixer? You
No,
guys using that? No, you're not?
not for the questionnaire, no.
Okay.
But we can talk about Mind Mixer in a few minutes.
Okay.
But the questionnaire will be a certain service.
Does everybody think that, I think the 15th is a lousy time to send it out. I
That's
think
the first day of school, yeah.
It'll
I
get
agree.
lost in all
Yeah,
of the first day.
yeah, you don't want to do it 2 days before or even 3 or 4 after.
So either the 22nd or the 20th.
What's that Monday?
Monday's the 19th. That could be still too early because
Maybe Tuesday.
So like Tuesday's the 20th.
Okay, so if we do it Tuesday the 20th, and we obviously want it to go out before Chili Fest,
What
so
if we send
everybody
it
gets
on a
it.
Friday or a Saturday? Are people looking at their
I think
emails over the weekends?
I think Fridays, marketing wise, you're never supposed to send
Tuesday
emails
or
out on
Wednesday.
Fridays.
We do a lot of Facebook posts, like in the evenings on purpose, so when people are getting home from work, they can look at their Facebook.
Ah.
So conceptually, maybe we could follow an evening launch rather than a middle of the day.
That is when I look.
In the evening.
Yeah, Mitchell, do you know, are there any statistics for
I just
that?
wouldn't do it on Friday. I don't know that time
Maybe
of
a
day
Thursday or
has
something?
too much. What I see data-wise is everybody, when it goes out and it hits their mailbox, the most number of people open it when it hits. And then it drops down.
So Friday night?
So I wouldn't do a Friday night.
Oh, okay,
So
so,
is Thursday a better day?
I would say any day midweek. I wouldn't send it on a Monday and I wouldn't send it on a Friday or Saturday.
okay, so that goes back to that Tuesday, whatever it
Yeah,
was.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Sorry.
Tuesday or Wednesday, I think would be good, and I'm like 6 o'clock or so when people stop checking work email, but they
Okay.
check their own personal, would be around a good time.
And then maybe
Facebook,
pair
yeah.
it with a same Facebook post
Right.
to let people know to check their emails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So would
Well,
they?
you will be able to link directly to the survey from the Facebook page.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Oh, that's cool.
That's fine too. So we're not limiting, is there a way to, are you limiting the surveys by household or by email address, or you can just fill in the
Yeah,
survey?
by email. So you
Okay.
register. So if somebody was really engaged and wanted to cook the books, it would be possible. There is a slight vulnerability. We've never seen that happen. But yeah. So you register by email, you put in your information, and then you're also kept up to date by email about when results are coming out or when the next round of engagement comes through.
very cool.
And are we aiming this at adults, or are we inviting teens to fill this out as well?
It's very user-friendly and can be visual, so it is easy to have as open as we need. All the questions will be very simple. You can do fill in the blank, multiple choice, one versus another, and regardless of who the target audience is, we are going to keep it very simple and visual where needed, and open answers where we think that's useful as well.
Well, if you're going to do this by Facebook, are you going to do an email out to the community-wide?
Oh, Facebook's not the only method. We'll do a huge push in all of our platforms.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I turned the light on again.
This room is really frustrating.
So that,
I'm just gonna
yeah, since that question was brought up, let's decide. What's the age?
I think it should be
Minimum.
open. I think, we talk so much about multi-generational, I think we should get input of multi-generational people. That's my thought.
So what's that age?
Won't the parents be giving information on their kids that are like less than 10 years old?
Well, right, but I think if a teen, I mean, I think we interviewed the Slick kids and we asked them for feedback, so why wouldn't we want to continue to engage that demographic?
And how old are they?
They're in
They're
high
high
school. They're ninth.
9
Ninth
and
grade on
5
up.
is 14, so like age 13 and up or something?
Well, I don't know how you could actually limit it by, I mean, maybe you can, but I think if you just ask when people are doing the survey what their age is, then that would just give us an idea,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
not
that's a
limit
cool
it.
idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Is it possible to do that?
Oh, yeah, but it's also possible
Yeah.
to limit it. We just say 16 and up or something like that. So if that's what you want to do, that's, you know, you guys tell me the parameters and I'll do it.
How engaged is Slick? Like, are they going to be, or do they activate their peers in Superior? Like, are they engaged? They
They're
do.
highly engaged.
They're highly
yeah.
engaged, so.
Mitchell, do you want to say
Yeah.
a few words or sentences, whatever amount of info you want to give about the time you spent with the
Slick kids.
Superior
Sure.
Youth Leadership Council?
Yeah. There were about 15 of them there, and that was, the middle of their summer break, and they were, ticking off items that they were going to be working on, talking about the parade, who was going to be volunteering for that, talking about Parents' Night Out or Parents' Night Off event that was coming up. I was impressed that, that many folks were there midsummer on their own account, and definitely were interested. I got some interesting feedback. I actually, through their liaison, Kevin Colon, asked them for a one-word to describe Superior as well. It was just by email. I'm curious to see if we get any variation between what we got at the workshop and that. I would say that through the digital component, anybody who puts in the time and effort to participate is probably responsible enough and mature enough to do so. If there's some sort of legal ramification about getting input from people who are under 16 or 18, that would be about my only thought on that. And in terms of getting demographic information, we could either do, put your age, or we can have, say, multiple choice for age groups, say 13 to 18, 19 to 29, and up from there, as well as gender and perhaps ethnic background or a couple of other things that are worth considering.
Yeah, we'll do standard town demographic questions.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I can find out from the town if there's any age standards, or you guys build your own parameters. So what do you want to do?
Well, I think like Mitchell said, if they're interested in doing it, I think we should take their information. I think it would be mostly high schoolers. I got a ton of feedback from the kids about the main event. Teenagers loved it and want to engage in it and want to be part of.
Yeah, so that was
in
kind
the
of
future,
my point is, if we felt like Slick was that engaged, then if we make it friendlier for teenagers, then it might encourage them to send it out to more people so that we get more feedback.
Yeah.
So that was what I was thinking.
I mean, as long as I've been sitting on committees, we've been wanting to tap into teens.
Yeah.
And we want to provide services and things for teens. And so I think we would be remiss if we didn't
Yeah,
allow them.
I think so.
I think they would love it, to be
I think
honest.
so too.
So that would be cool. So you can do the demographic zones, basically.
Just keep it open.
Yeah,
But
so
figure, if there is some limit,
starting with 13.
if the town has some limit, then obviously we have to adhere to that. But if not, you're right. I think kids that are going to be freshmen in high school, which
We
is
14?
13 to 14, but I'm going,
13 or 14.
Okay.
if they're a teenager, regardless of what the age is, let them participate.
Teenager, yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
Mitchell, what is the time period for the phases? Phase 1 would launch August 20th. How long does that go?
2 weeks, and given that we have Labor Day in there, perhaps a little bit longer. So if we look here, if we launched on the 20th, I recommend that we keep that phase up until after Chili Fest, which is the 7th. So then the next phase would launch maybe the 10th of September. That's 3 weeks later.
And how many reminders do we send
Yeah.
out? Like if we launch it, I mean, do we, do you keep sending reminders or how does that work?
Over 3 weeks, I'd say maximum 2. People don't tend to enjoy being spammed. Of course, if you want to, post on Facebook and like those things where people can then click, go for it. But you don't tend to get the most positive response from the person who's answering the 4th reminder.
Well, so if we launch it on the 20th, do we want anybody who attends Chili Fest to have received, or if people do their survey in the first 2 weeks, do we want them to get that second, thank you for doing this is our next step? Do we want them to have that by Chili Fest?
I think we have to, didn't you say we have to analyze the answers before we can ask additional questions?
Yeah, and because Labor Day is the weekend before Chili Fest, it's a bit tight in I would say typically we could go about 2 weeks. So the question comes down to whether we would like people who don't know too much about this project to have the chance, who see it at Chili Fest, to have the chance to answer from that. And then we start the next round, or if we'd already like to have the second round going by that time.
I think that it's up to you and how it plays out. How do we develop the second phase without knowing what the answers are to the first phase?
We'll have a number, we'll have the idea of what questions could look like in the second phase. And again, Parks and Rec in the current scope of the project is running this, so we'll have some suggestions, but, we are deferring to you and leaving most of this up to you. It's a bit of a tricky time to have it right around Labor Day and Chili Fest. I can see the benefit of having it open, the first round open through Chili Fest, but that is also just extending our timeline a little bit. If we were to close it directly after Chili Fest, we'd work for a really fast turnaround on the analysis. So if it closed on the 10th, we'd have the results by the end of that week analyzed and recommendations for the next round of questions, which could open on the 17th, and that could stay open for 2 weeks.
Okay, because...
If we did it on the 3rd...
Well, no, that makes sense, because then when they're at Chili Fest, we can promote the initial phase of anyone who's not taken it yet.
Right.
So, we gave out, 300 stickers at 4th of July in the main event. So if we can kind of carry that into Chili Fest, and we want them to take the survey, so they take the initial part of the survey and we promote it at Chili Fest, but we close it on, that next Friday or something?
He said the 10th.
He said
The 10th, okay. That makes sense, because then we can really promote the first part of the survey.
It's only 5 questions. Can we have a computer up? Where
I was gonna say,
people
can
can
we-
do it while we're
It's
there?
going to be longer than 5. He's just providing us with 5.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We would recommend that it stay relatively short, but, say in the 10 to 12 question range, and then perhaps with a few additional demographic questions. It shouldn't take very long. I'd say less than 5 minutes for a person to fill out. In times where we have done the digital component in real time, the biggest thing actually is like getting people to input their emails and all of that. You can definitely do it. It will increase your turnout. It just requires someone to be doing that the whole time, making sure that they're getting that information forward, having the people respond.
That'd be a good slick thing.
Yeah. All
They'd
right,
be there at the
that's an
booth, the
interesting
technology
question.
digital booth.
Well, that's a later question because we need to figure out who's going to be available for Chili Fest.
That is the next topic. Any more questions about the digital engagement then?
Oh, yeah, I do have one question. So the second phase, does that go to the people that answered, or is it going to a new round of people?
It's open to everyone.
Okay.
So if you answered the first time, you'll get a prompt to participate again. If you haven't, you're still available. So you could put it back on Facebook, and you're answering the next round of questions, but they're all sort of tying together.
Okay. So we would want to make sure that people that answered phase 1 know that there will be a phase 2 and it is different. And if you didn't answer phase 1, you can still answer phase 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And So that brings us to Chili Fest, and there's a kind of underlying piece that will tie into both of these things. But let's go through the Chili Fest piece. Actually, both. So with the digital engagement extending about a month longer than we had initially expected, to ensure that we're able to analyze those results and make sure the feedback fits in with the at a time of the project where we're still most open to adding that. One of the recommendations that we have is to extend the project's timeline, and I think we're going to be, say, extending it by about 2 weeks. But the key pieces are that in October, on the, let's see, what date is that? On the approximately the 28th of October, there was the plan to present to the trustees. And then on the 13th, a public event, and on the 14th, CAPS. And I would recommend that if we're doing engagement until the beginning of October, and actually slightly beyond that, that we move these meetings by about 2 weeks each, if possible.
Wait, what
We
page
have-
are you on?
On the revised
The
legend.
revised timeline, which is on that second page? Okay.
And that, I mean, I think theoretically that makes sense. The problem would be whether or not there is availability in a board meeting. That would be the only thing I could see.
Okay.
Problem.
I'll just underline that the revised timeline was revised, still working with the original timeline to deliver the final thing by the end of February. And we'd probably be delivering around the 15th of March in this revised approach. Yes, for sure, making sure that there's a space available. And then the other part is that if we're doing a public activity, and this also ties back into Chili Fest, if there is an event occurring, a public event that is suitable for this, that is occurring sometime in late November or early December, it would be ideal if we tie it together with that so that we get maximum possibility for feedback rather than trying to conduct a separate event.
Tie
If there is
it with the
something
draft?
available-
Tie it together with the draft? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So this is a chance, so the digital engagement and perhaps Chili Fest is still opportunity to gather information that will then feed into the plan. This later one in November would be a chance to reflect on what they're seeing and,
okay.
really flag anything that they like or dislike at that point. And
Okay.
we can adjust accordingly.
Okay. That sounds good.
And, this one is a relatively big decision. I suspect that if we push everything by 2 weeks, so, trustee meeting would happen in the following meeting instead of October 28th, that'd be early November. The meeting with CAPS and with the public would be then pushed to either late November, or I note that currently you're planning to meet on the 12th of December, so that is also a possibility. Then the trustee meeting, the final one where we seek approval, would be currently planned for January 27th, and I suggest that we bump that 2 weeks as well. So that one, we can always see how the plan is progressing. If there are no major changes, it's not impossible that we make the small revisions during December and early January, present back to you in early January, and have them give their final thoughts at the end of the month. So that it's really right now, the key piece is around this late October and November engagement, and whether you think there is a possibility of moving it back by about 2 weeks. And you can always give this some thought, because it's not going to have a tremendous impact on the next couple of steps. If there's other events you'd like to go back on, you could discuss this again and make a decision at your next meeting, and we can plan accordingly.
And I think that probably is best, just given the chink in the armor is whether or not the board is available for.
Right. We don't have it.
Do we have to, at board meetings, does CAPS have to be on the agenda?
If
Or
it's a presentation.
If it's a
and they're
presentation, we
presenting.
can't do it under public comment in the first 10 minutes. It has to be on the agenda.
Well, a public comment is very structured, and it's a 5 minute, you get 5
Right,
minutes to
right.
speak, and I don't think that they would appreciate disruption of
Okay.
a whole presentation, but that's.
Yeah.
So CAPS is.
I agree with that, and we would be
Okay.
more than 10 minutes. So to give
Oh,
them the
okay.
space, it would be something we'd want to have on their agenda, recognizing right now that we're talking the end of October or early November.
So this is the draft master plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, and CAPS is scheduled to give a presentation every month on your own.
Right.
And so then Mitchell, Happy City would give their presentation on this October 28 or 2 weeks later.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that's a
so,
Happy
so you're
City
saying we're
presentation.
already on the agenda
Yeah, you guys are
anyway?
already on.
Okay.
Okay, so that should be
Okay,
fine.
all right, so then, okay.
Now,
Yeah.
And we have the leisure of seeing how the digital
survey goes.
that goes. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
And does Mitchell come out for this, or do we,
It's a video conference, I believe.
is it,
Oh, I don't think we can
Yeah.
turn, is it just video, right?
Correct.
With the
So I
board.
would be presenting and would do so digitally.
okay,
And shortly after that meeting is when I would be coming to present to CAPS and do a public event, and both of those would be in person.
And so are we thinking those two things would still be November 13 and November 14?
Ideally, they would also be 2 weeks later.
Okay, so then that
Approximately
takes
2
us
weeks
to
later.
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
or immediately
December 12th.
after.
well, and you have Skate with Santa, which is a big community event.
That's the first weekend.
That's the
Usually the
December
first
3rd,
Yeah.
I
It's
think.
December 8th this year.
The Skate with Santa,
Yeah, it's December 8th.
okay.
Excuse me, 7th.
And is
Saturday.
that a well-attended event?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I heard there was 150 maybe last year.
They,
I
they
mean,
used to
given
do
that
it,
it does,
well, they
Go
did
ahead.
it last year, well, 2 years ago, 2 to 5 years ago, they had this really cool thing in Astor Park. And it was the fire truck, they had the fire truck with all the lights on it, count the lights on the fire truck, and the Slick Kids were there, they had the fire pit and all this kind of stuff. And then, but there was a conflict with that Astor Park event, and I'm not quite sure what happened, and then it kind of got morphed into the Skate with Santa, which was more of a chamber sports stable event. And
It's a town event. It's a.
it is town now, but it used to be more like,
It was actually 100% a chamber.
it was 100% a
It was
chamber event.
absolutely a
Right.
100%
But what I'm
chamber
saying
event.
is last year was the town.
Right.
And this year it's the town.
Right, so last year was the first year the Skate with Santa was a town event, but then they didn't have the one that was in Astor Park. So, just historically, I guess.
So if we're moving the November 13th public meeting 2 weeks, that takes us to Thanksgiving week, and I don't think that's gonna work.
Right.
And what is this public meeting? Explain to me what it is, because, I mean,
So that's in the, that was in the scope of work.
no, I understand, but is
And
it?
that is for, do you want to describe it? Why don't you describe it?
yeah, that will be a chance to reflect on what the plan is going to look like. So we'll have put together the drafts at this point, and we'll be highlighting, what we think are the best approaches, or what we're going to be recommending in terms of placemaking. We'll also be, detailing locations that seem ripe for opportunity, and a host of other things. Basically, we'll create this visual component. Often it's, large foam boards that people can read the information that we're putting up there, and I will be there to speak about that, and depending on how we go about that, perhaps another Happy City person, and we'll listen to the feedback. There's less voting, less of the engagement stations, more just a chance for people to see what we're doing, and if there's something that people are really reacting strongly about, then we can adjust or at least discuss with you accordingly.
Yeah, it seems logically that you'd want to hang on to the data that you got from a larger survey group rather than pay much attention to what a few people from the public say in the middle of November.
Well, they're giving feedback at this point in time.
Like the weight.
Yeah, it's a chance for people to also just stay informed about what's going on, as it's a pretty long period between when we've collected the information and then when we'll be presenting the final plan. It can also just be useful in ensuring that the proposal is broadly accepted. If nobody sees it and, is perhaps surprised by some of the information, then you can sometimes encounter resistance to a plan. And the final piece, you just make it more defensible to say, like, well, we had this opportunity, we had these opportunities in July, this opportunity in September, the digital components August and September. Then you could have come to the public meeting in November, December. So you've just created a number of different opportunities for people to take part, which also makes it easier for,
to defend
if someone,
Yeah.
you either get the support in the room, or if someone is opposing it, when you talk to the trustees, you then have the opportunity of detailing every step that you took to reach this point.
Good idea.
So thoughts on when that should be, because we don't want it Thanksgiving week. Unfortunately.
If we're able to tie it to this, so Skate with Santa or any other event that has some relevance to Superior's culture and where we expect reasonably strong attendance, that would be ideal times to do it. It can be very difficult, especially during the holiday season or like post-Thanksgiving, to get people out to another evening event. So if we can tie it to something, I think that will be an easier approach.
Well, and that's going to have to take a little bit of thought, because Skate with Santa is very non-quiet. It's literally the parents come into the sports table, bring in all their kids, they go around and around and around on skates and get a cookie, maybe sit on Santa's lap, and then they're out the door. So we might need to kind of think how that would be if we're using that for kind of getting feedback on a master plan for cultural arts and public spaces.
What about
It's very
First
noisy.
Friday's coffees?
Very noisy.
First Friday's coffee?
There's about
There's only
10
about
people
10
that
people.
show up. But I do think that, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying that it's not necessarily a bad time in that you could bring back your lighting idea and have, we did have it the one year where you did the lighting and then you went and skated with Santa.
That was
or
cool.
vice versa.
That was actually really cool.
So you could have something at Town Hall that connected to Skate with Santa if we had some activity that would draw people. And it doesn't have to be the same people per se that are over at Skate with Santa either.
I actually kind of liked it, because the last year, and I don't know why it morphed from being this almost a Chris Crindle type thing. They had the carolers and they had the lighting of the Christmas tree and the fire truck and food and decorate cookies and crafts and that kind of stuff. It was actually pretty cool. I think that maybe had 100 people, maybe 80 people attend.
I'm just wondering now at this point, what's the real purpose of moving the November 13th public meeting 2 weeks? Is it because?
To give us more time to prepare material.
Write it? Okay.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, Mitchell's like, I need to sleep. Remember the last 8 days? Yeah, I need sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know that creating a whole new event, I don't know, it's hard to imagine creating a whole brand new event that we never had before in November or December. So you're right, tying to something that's existing, but we don't have anything existing, so.
Except for Skate with Santa.
Except for Skate with Santa.
Well,
Maybe
you
it's
could get
logistics.
go up to the community room and
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah, logistics.
So maybe there's a way to.
Will they go
The
up?
sports table is a really big space, and if we had CAPS committee located at strategic points to kind of encourage people or let them know that this is happening, just at a different spot, just beyond that super noisy section, I think we get more foot traffic at something like that than we would if we created a whole new event around it. But
Offer
for now,
coffee and hot chocolate.
No, they have a coffee.
Panera brings it. what if, and we,
If there's some extra little thing, that always goes over really well
If you're gonna bring
too.
it, put it in the community room,
so-
come up there.
I don't think they're gonna go upstairs. I mean, having attended Skate with Santa with my grandkids, what if, and I'm sorry, Mitchell, in order to save time, there's probably a way at Skate with Santa that we can make it more of a, somewhere in the building or even in that space that's right in front of, right in front. Maybe they could even do like the bonfire kind of thing or something. I mean, whatever that might be, so that we could, you're right, station ourselves around and really promote doing this at the Skate with Santa. It's just that I'm having attended Skate with Santa with grandkids, it is in and out. I mean, literally, they don't, you need to, no, it is, you need to have or develop something that would capture them to be able to, I mean, just, yeah.
And it's only a certain.
What is this?
Popcorn.
Popcorn, there you
Popcorn.
go.
But that draws the kids, and it really is, it's usually mostly people with children, which isn't necessarily a bad demographic either, but it is a narrower, they're not necessarily the heavily engaged
Right.
people. But that's okay. I think in order to keep moving along, that we could sort of cogitate on this Skate with Santa possibility and see if we can figure something out that might work.
So we need to decide maybe Chili Fest tonight. Because I didn't.
Chili Fest, we should decide tonight. So, the project extension, it sounds like in principle that should work. It would be excellent if either Dina or the CAPS committee can confirm with the trustees that we could move that meeting by 2 weeks, just so they're aware as well. And then, Skate with Santa sounds like it would be one good option. Within our scope of work, we have one engagement for that time. If you felt that it would be worth doing the Friday night coffee and then Skate with Santa, we could do it. It's a scope change, so that's at your discretion. But that could be another one. And then the other key piece is just ensuring that CAPS would be available to meet around that time as well if we would like to do that in person.
Are these all things we have to decide right now?
Yeah, no, I think this is one that we can, it's important to flag. It sounds like in principle this should be okay, so we're going to kind of work to that adjusted timeline, but we can revisit this at the next meeting when you've had a chance to think about this and perhaps link this to Skate with Santa and whether you think a Friday night coffee thing is also useful.
Yeah, I think it's just be good to just digest and see if there are other opportunities and to make sure that there aren't major conflicting dates as well for other events. So,
okay. So
we do have, not that it makes a difference, we're doing the line dancing and everything.
September 21st.
Oh, is it September 21st? What happened October 17th?
I have no idea what October 17th is.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought that's when we were doing this line dance. Okay.
No, I never heard that.
Okay.
No.
One thing to note is, in your mid-month, so that's August 8th, if we could hold off on this decision until the regular meeting, because I won't be at August 8th, so I'm not allowed to come to 2 night meetings for you guys as the liaison. I can only do 1. So if you can hold off on the decision about Chili Fest, moving the other dates around until the regular meeting on August, what is it going to be, August 22nd or 29th?
So that's really late, so we can't talk about it at all, is what you're
I'm saying
saying?
decision making.
Yeah, we won't make any decisions, but I think it's a
Because
great.
if I'm not there, then you guys we might have to, something, you make a decision that affects something else, then we just have to talk about it again in the next meeting anyway when I'm there.
I understand. I mean, the mid-month meeting is our spitballing, and that's what we, so we could actually sit down and dive deep into Skate with Santa and come up with ideas, possibly.
Right. However, my point is, now that your mid-months are going to be here, you are able to make decisions because it's going to be recorded.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But I won't be here.
Okay, I got it.
So if you could hold off on major decisions like moving dates and Chili Fest and
Oh, yeah,
stuff
we
like
would never
that,
do
until
dates for that.
I'm available.
So what would be a major decision with Chili Fest? I mean, we kind of have an idea of,
Well, the major decision with Chili Fest is, are you bringing Mitchell and Sherry down?
oh, I don't
And
think
are we
so.
spending that money to do that?
No, I don't think so.
So that's what I thought
the
we could
next
decide
item on the
tonight.
agenda.
Oh, okay, we can move it. I don't think we need to bring that.
Yeah.
I don't think we-
So just,
So hold off, so first of all, I mean,
Yeah.
are we planning on doing a, our event, our pop-up, and a Happy City thing? Because we don't have the people power to do two things.
Yeah, we don't really have even the people power to do the pop-up.
Right.
I think, without some maybe an extra help from town.
Well, I'm out of Chili Fest too, so
Yeah.
it's four people.
Oh, okay. So we don't have the people power to,
Well, because last year we did last year went really well with CAPS at Chili Fest, because we had, oh my gosh, we must have had 12 people at least, rotating in and out, painting all the mural squares.
So Mitchell, can you go through the list of things we need to decide?
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page?
And we had a
yeah,
huge tent.
well, so I just want to wrap up the
Plenty of
timeline
tables.
piece. We don't need to make a firm decision on that, but it would be good to know by the next meeting what we can do. And based on the conversation tonight, it sounds like it will be possible to extend by approximately 2 weeks. And so with that in mind, it would be good to revisit next time and get a firm answer on. So Chili Fest is the next thing that I wanted to discuss, and Chili Fest we will need to make a decision on today. The question is, has there been enough outreach up to this point, first of all? And then, given that Sphere Spectacular was just cut so short, I think it would be really good to talk about the placemaking master plan with the public more, make sure that they have more opportunity to understand it, especially recognizing that they'll be able to give further feedback digitally at that point. So that's step one. Should we discuss further and promote further through a second event, Chili Fest being the ideal event to reach a broad spectrum of the public? The sub-question there is this something that CAPS would like to do? And in that case, Happy City would prepare some printed material and perhaps scripts. We can figure out what the specifics are, but we prepare these things for CAPS committee to share. The alternative is that, given the date, it would be me coming down for Chili Fest, and given what it sounds like there won't be a ton of labor available from CAPS, perhaps we just combine the Superior Placemaking Master Plan engagement with the CAPS booth. But yeah, whether I would be there, and let's go through the first question. Do you think that further engagement regarding the placemaking master plan with the public at a significant event is worthwhile?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
okay.
easy.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, I fully agree. And so the second question is this something that CAPS would like Happy City to prepare printed material and like a poster that you could print out to share? And that is approximately $1,500. This is both activities we're talking about go beyond the scope that we have for the project at the moment. But to prepare that material is relatively straightforward, and we just email it down, you print it out, or I come down and I'm there for a couple of days. We've prepared a couple of the activities, probably bring the chalk wall back out, and of course give people the idea around the digital component, and all in with the prep, my travel time, being down there, and flights and accommodation, it's about $10,000.
That's not on this list, right?
No, that's separate. So if
Okay.
they just provided us with materials that we then engage the community with, that's the $1,500. If Mitchell comes and does the activity, then it's $10,000.
Okay.
And we have to decide that tonight. I mean, we can't decide that.
Either we
It would
decide
be-
We
tonight.
can't decide that tonight because we can't agree to spend $10,000
Yeah.
without going to the board and asking them for more money. for
Well,
that.
what your decision tonight would be is, do you want to go to the board and ask them for that money? Not, yes, Mitchell, you're hired, but, yes.
Well, he was saying he needs to know whether he's coming to Chili Fest or not, so that, yes. I mean-
No, I think the way Dina put it, that makes complete sense. The sooner we're able to do that, the easier it is, but yes, of course, that's a decision, that's a substantial expenditure and one that you want to clear with the board. So
I
your
think,
decision about whether to recommend that would be the step to take tonight.
And we have to decide before the August meeting, because August meeting is just a week before Chili Fest.
so I think the problem is, I do think we need more, public engagement, but we only have maybe, and I don't think Claire is even available. So
No,
there's-
she's not. She's always done.
She's always at her own booth,
Yeah,
so
I've got
it
a
would
booth.
just,
And
and
she
you're
has a
not a
booth,
bit,
so-
so.
So it's you
If
two.
we want public engagement at Chili Fest,
Are you there?
No.
then the only option is for Mitchell to come. Because otherwise it's me and Debbie.
And I might be available, but I don't know.
That's
At this
still
point in
not-
time, it's up in the
no, that's-
air. And I will
I
not
might-
commit to Chili Fest at this point in
I
time.
might be able to come for part of it if I get enough people to help me cover my booth.
Right, but it's just too,
Do we have another person coming on? Where are we in that process? Did anybody, remember we went
No,
through?
nobody's been interviewed recently.
Okay.
Besides staffing a Happy City setup for Chili Fest, are we also planning on doing anything for Prairie Dogs? Because I thought we weren't. And if we are, we're going to need a huge tent.
no, so that's my next
So
point.
three
It's like, I don't think
times-
we
The
can do
board
both.
did ask us to do our pop-up at Chili Fest.
Yes.
I don't
Melinda and
think
I
we can-
came and talked at public comment on Monday night, and they loved it, and they specifically asked that we.
Yeah,
Have it
Mitchell, the
available.
painting of the prairie dogs
Ugh.
was a
Well, I love it.
Yeah,
It was a
I saw the
gigantic
ground.
success.
It was spectacular.
It's
Yeah,
exhausting.
but at the Chili Fest, there's going to be even like 3 times as many people.
We don't have to, we just put up 5 tables, you accommodate those people that are there, and it's spread out over 4 hours, so it's not gonna
So
be
then-
the mad rush of everybody the way it was.
Right, so I think the board has to make the decision of whether we want more public engagement with Happy City. If they agree, then they have to pay for Mitchell, because we can't handle it within the committee
So-
to have
Right.
for you to send us the materials.
So what if, and we've done this before, so we kind of have a concept of, like last year when we did it, well, we've done it, this will be our 3rd Chili Fest. So what if we have kind of the same, like we do at the Superior Spectacular, like we do the mural? Is it possible, Dina, you would probably know, and I get the expense for Mitchell, it makes total sense, but to do it less expensively, is it possible to either, one, reach out to other, advisory councils and say, hey, we're doing this, we're in a real pinch, is there anybody who
Yeah.
could take, no, they won't do
I
it,
don't
okay.
Time is too short
Okay.
for that.
Well, okay, that was number one. Number two is, and I know having done the Beer Fest and having started the Beer Fest, how crazy it is for staff. But is there any staff maybe that they could hire 3 or 4 staff people? If
Well, we're
Melinda and I
going
did
to have
it?
to have staff if we're having Prairie Dogs there.
No, we don't need, if we had,
Oh, we do have to have staff
We
for
won't
Prairie
have any
Dogs.
Parks and Rec staff
We need
at
to have-
Zach's booth.
Oh, we need to have help.
Well, no, but last year we
have a
didn't.
10,000 person
We did.
event that we're
yeah.
we're organizing and implementing. We can't have any of the staff at.
Yeah, we didn't have
Well,
staff
then-
last year, did we?
But
We had a few-
we didn't have Prairie Dogs.
No, but we had
We
the
have to-
painted murals,
The
which were
murals
even
were-
worse.
Yeah, the murals
No,
was a-
we were swamped. The murals,
Yeah.
you could sit down and take your time. But with the Prairie Dogs, they were just running up and grabbing and pasting and stuff. So it was
Well,
crowd control.
we can talk about that later and what
August
that
8th.
looks like. What we need to focus on is whether we want to recommend that Mitchell come for Chili Fest.
And then in addition to that is the other outreach. So we didn't get to that part yet, and I don't know how much more time Mitchell has, but we need to decide if we're doing more interviews, if you want to do more outreach similar to the dialogue, the workshop, or other being like, I don't know, a focus group or 3 or 4 group interviews, 3 or 4 people in a group. So that's like, here I have written down, Mitchell, that the decision points are Chili Fest, Happy City coming, yes or no, then other outreach, more interviews or workshops, etc.
So the other outreach are gonna cost us more money, and is that correct? So if we wanna engage other people that were not on the original list, then that's gonna cost us money, correct?
How many interviews do we have left, Mitchell, in our current scope with our additional?
After trustee Lasis, there's still space for 2. So we have the space that we set aside for the historic component, and that hasn't been filled yet. And then we had 1 for another trustee, and that is also currently open. Noting that we had space for 2 trustees, but former trustee Pennington has 1 of those spaces.
So conceivably, those +2 could be groups. So maybe it's 3 people rather than 1 individual, right?
Yeah. And that's what we originally intended from the preliminary list for the historic piece. So, yeah, that works.
And that's over the phone, right?
At this point, yes.
It would be something similar to this, I think, so that we can see each other's faces if possible, especially if it was a group one. But yes, that would most likely be over the phone.
Is there any possibility that we could do this outreach at the line dance?
What?
I mean, the interview piece would be tricky, just in that, these conversations have been an hour to an hour and a half long. If you wanted to do...
Oh, no, not the interviews.
Oh, it would still cost $10,000 for him to come.
But if we did it...
Oh, you mean the
if we did it at the line dance,
$15,000 at the line dance?
Yes, so if we did it at the line dance, which is September, whatever it is.
21.
September 21st, then rather than having any of that outreach at Chili Fest, Melinda and I can just be there at the booth and do whatever with no prairie dogs. We could actually do the prairie dogs at the line dancing thing.
Does that push it back too far?
Does it push it back too far?
We don't have to do Chili Fest. We did it last year because we had the mural, but we have always decided that we didn't have to do every town event.
Well, didn't you just say the...
Well, they asked us to, but if we don't have the people to do it, then how are we going to do it? Honestly.
It may not make sense to do it. I think it would be, maybe we do it at the line dance.
Maybe this is, too much thinking outside the box, but there's so many people that need employment. I mean, we need people to set up our tent, and we need people to set, that aren't us.
Nobody sets up our tent. We don't have to worry about that.
We had to worry about it.
We did not set up our tent at Chili Fest.
No, we had to worry about it at the street fair that we just had. We were out there putting up a second one, yeah.
We didn't put up a tent.
I mean, a pop-up. There was one, and then you were out there like in the rain trying to get another one up. We didn't have, and I didn't have, we didn't have enough chairs. I think we asked for a certain number of chairs. So we need more help.
Right, I understand. We can talk about whether or not we are doing Chili Fest. What we need to focus on are the things for Mitchell and not waste his time. So let's focus on those things, and then we can talk about Chili Fest later.
I like the line dancing idea. If we have more people and if we can execute, if we have the materials that we need, and we all know what's going on, we're all very well informed, I think, at this point.
We have a more targeted audience. It's going to be in the neighborhood and not drunks.
And it doesn't mean that we can't, if we happen to be at Chili Fest, we could advertise too.
Right.
If we decide that we end up being at Chili Fest, so you guys are thinking if we get materials, we could do it potentially at Chili Fest and the line dance.
Yes.
And not request more money to bring Mitchell out.
Right, and then
we could bring out the chalkboard, we could, we could bring out any number of the activities.
I mean, I can pull in some markers. We can do that.
We're doing a lot. When you say pull out the chalkboard, there isn't town staff that can do that?
I'm the town staff, so.
So it sounds like I'm voting for, I would be fine with us not having a presence.
So does somebody want to make a
Chili Fest.
motion to,
So, back up 2 sentences.
yeah,
I personally feel that if we are doing this huge master plan and we've started it and talked to people, if nothing else, I will be there at Chili Fest in a booth. If anybody has any questions on the master plan.
so we could ask
So-
for materials for Chili Fest. Is that what you're saying?
I don't even care about that. I just think that if the Board of Trustees are behind us on this, I don't know what to do about the wooden prairie dogs, which they really liked, but I think if nothing else, if you're starting this process and the town and the Board of Trustees are behind us and they're hearing about it, someone's got to be at a booth for Chili Fest. I will be there.
We can hire an artist to be at the booth at Chili Fest with Debbie, and that person can be in charge of helping people with prairie dogs. That's one.
And again, the whole Slick group, I mean, when we talked about it, the prairie dogs, other than the fact that there were so many kids who wanted to do it, it's easy. It's just
very soft.
markers,
Yeah.
stickers.
Let's hold on, let's not get into Chili Fest
Okay.
again, other than we have to get back
We need
to
someone to make
whether
a
or not we
motion.
want to invite Mitchell to come to, no offense, Mitchell, we're not trying to keep
Right.
you out personally, but do we want to ask the board to give us additional monies for him to come for Chili Fest?
I don't think so.
Does anybody think that we want to do that?
I don't think so. I think we have two
We have
options
two
of
options.
doing it ourselves,
Yeah.
Chili Fest
Okay.
and line dancing.
Okay,
We can
great.
do this.
We can do this.
Okay.
Okay, so let's figure out what else
So-
we need, other decisions we need to make with Mitchell while we've got him, and then we can go on with our agenda.
And I just want to underline, so that sounds A-okay. I love coming down to Superior, but I'm also okay with staying at home a little bit more. We would still prepare these materials, because I think, both some a visual piece, some sort of poster or something, as well as a script to go with it. So we still have this small scope change.
Okay,
Okay,
yep.
And we need
Using it
those
to promote the
by-
digital piece, I think, makes complete sense. That'd be really good.
I agree.
Chili.
If you're doing it 2 events, I put 1,500 for Chili Fest. I think if it was at 2, we'd bump it up a little bit to cover both and ensure that we're able to troubleshoot anything that happens. All my lights are going out now.
Oh my God, he's just so cute.
that's kind of funny. He's in the dark.
That was so weird, I wasn't even looking up.
It's dark up there already? That's weird.
I'm in sort of the center of the building.
You don't have any windows
so not a
on
light that, not right near me, no. Yeah, so, for one event, we'll get all that set up, and if we're doing 2, we would be prepared to troubleshoot things as they came along. So I think if it was both Chili Fest and the line dance, we'd have to increase the budget slightly, but still substantially less, like a quarter of what it would be to have me come down for a few days.
Okay,
So we should probably vote, since that's
that is an additional
And
scope.
should we give him a deadline? Like, not 9/7, the Chili Fest, but a day or 2 earlier?
Well, it's for the Chili Fest, so
I know.
yes.
I know, good.
I don't think that,
You
that's,
saying to have the material in advance?
Yes.
A day or 2.
Okay. And I suspect we'll want to have, for the folks who will be at Chili Fest, a short call, like up to an hour before Chili Fest, to just review everything and see if there's any questions,
okay.
Okay,
if you're available.
All right, so does someone want to make a motion to change the scope to prepare materials for Chili Fest and the line dance?
So moved.
second.
Oh, deadline.
Yes.
Please put a deadline in there of like September 5th. That we receive the materials by September 5th, please. Amendment.
Sure.
That's a friendly amendment, that's fine, I'm okay with that.
We have any discussion? We always discuss before we.
Any discussion?
I think we've already discussed.
Well, and he just has to give us the revised number at some point in time too, because we just voted on something that's different than $1,500.
Right.
Slightly increased.
I put 1,500 plus.
Yeah, that's fine.
Slight increase. Is that how you phrased it,
Yeah.
Mitchell? Okay.
Yes.
increase it. Okay, so
I will
then,
say, that's, you know, I'm gonna have to check with BizOps and just see what, we're including there, but I'm saying 2,500, that wouldn't be above that.
okay, so then number 2 is outreach interviews.
Oh, wait a minute, we didn't vote.
Oh, sorry, we didn't vote?
Oh, yeah, we
Oh, good, thanks.
that.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, everyone said yes. Thank you for keeping us in.
On a Robert's Rules of Order, we
Oh my
appreciate it,
gosh.
Jerry.
No, much appreciated. Okay, so then the next thing is interviews, additional interviews. I know I personally have a few people I would love to be interviewed. I don't know if we can do it in 2 groups or how to even navigate that.
When, perhaps maybe when Mitchell gets off the phone, we can chat about, who to do these 2 up here, and then decide if you want additional interviews beyond what he's already has on the scope.
Okay,
Do you want to do that?
yeah, we can
Yeah,
do that.
Okay, that's good.
Could I jump in and just note that we'd really like to speak with folks from Downtown Superior, representatives? We think that's a really important group that could
Oh,
be
yeah,
something.
absolutely.
And he wants to, we talked, Melinda and I ran into Bill Jenks, and he very much wants to speak with you.
Mitchell
so.
said he's been
Yeah,
trying to reach you.
if you could pass on his.
Oh, I haven't,
information,
yeah, I started that email and I didn't send it to you, and I'm sorry, I will get that to you. The other person I think that would be really interesting is, she was at the workshop on Tuesday night, is Sharon Nemechek. She is the director for the Louisville Library.
He has her.
And yeah,
Yeah, I spoke with her a little bit.
that's it.
Yeah.
Great, yeah, I agree with that. So, I mean, if we're doing those as the 2 additionals, I totally support that. And,
Those are my ideas.
So Sharon didn't have a card or anything, and I hadn't been able to track down Bill Jenks just from a Google search. So if you're able to share the contact information with them, then I'm happy to do that.
I will do that. It's JENCKS, that's probably why. And I have Sharon's information as well. I can
Okay.
Well, and we need to probably, as you guys as a group need to decide if those are the 2 you want
Right,
to do.
exactly. I'm just going to give him contact
that's good.
information. Before we got to that, I was saying that we need to
That's okay.
discuss,
That's okay.
and we can do that offline.
Okay.
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 Okay. Yeah, that would be the first step. I mean, Downtown Superior is something that, like, you know, we haven't been able to engage with yet, and we think it's really important. Depending on how that goes, recognizing that, you know, while it's within the town of Superior, it's a private jurisdiction, it could result in other activities. We can touch back in about that once I've spoken with Bill and perhaps even a few of his team, because I think that's really important. The other one has been around Brixmor and how much we want to involve them. There's certainly potential in that area, and from what I've been hearing thus far, Brixmor has been a little bit slow in getting involved in this type of activity. That would be another group that I'd recommend or would appreciate speaking with to gauge their interest in some of these activities as well.
Well, and then that leads to the third market, the Safeway Shopping Center, and I can't think of the company, but I do know that they're a chamber member, and so you could easily get the information from TJ.
And they're local?
I don't know. Actually, that's a really good question. I just know that they are now members of the chamber. I mean, they represent businesses in town, so.
And did you get the email from the woman who's head of the art department at El Dorado K8 or whatever?
Oh, no, but that would be, so let's talk about
Okay, we
those
can do that
people,
later, but-
people offline, and
Okay.
we can give a list.
Okay.
Because,
Okay. Yep. That would be helpful.
and then
and we'll,
I was just gonna say, the last thing is, do we want other dialogues or workshops? And those come at a cost, right? That's not part
Roughly
of the.
10,000 probably.
How much is that, Mitchell?
it would be, I mean, because that requires a substantial amount of prep. I would say approximately 12,500. Actually, you know what? I can pull up because I have an extra number here.
I'm assuming this is similar to what it was.
14,000.
So I'm assuming that would be similar to what it was last Thursday night. similar structure? Or do you want to do it like Tuesday night?
That would be up to you. The difference is that for what we did the first time, there were the cost savings of combining these 3 events over one trip.
Okay.
And that becomes a diminished piece here, and that would require at least 2 of us. So the number that I calculated prior to this was 14,000 for another event similar to that, because 2 of us coming down, the prep that required for that, being here a few days and then heading home.
But if we did it like we had it structured on Tuesday night, is that less expensive or more expensive?
The event on Tuesday would be slightly less. You could say 12.5 instead of 14.
But the cool thing about the one that was on Tuesday night, in a perfect world, you would really promote it and all this type of stuff, and you would have, potentially, you could have 80 people in that room, right?
That would be cool.
Well,
That would be
I
perfect.
think
We promoted it
I don't
a
think we
lot.
would ever get that many.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever get that.
And Mitchell actually
Already.
pointed out that it's much easier to attend an event that's already happening than to try to get people to go to one of his events.
Okay.
So I
And also with
think
the digital outreach.
with the digital
Okay.
outreach and with us having a presence at Chili Fest and at line
Line dancing.
dancing and then
And we could
potentially,
even do it as
Skating with
Santa.
yeah.
And is there a limit, like, if we close out our meeting tonight and decide after we hang up with you that we actually do want additional engagement, is there a time frame at which we can no longer ask for additional engagement?
The engagement starts to change around, I'll say, early October,
Okay.
where we just are no longer able to collect the same rate of information to then integrate into the plan. So we can still do events from there, but then it becomes less about gathering information and more about informing people of what's going on.
Okay, all right. So there is sort of a
And,
Okay.
and really, I mean, the other key piece is just availability to go with that, as I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and Superior's right up there, but I'm trying to juggle the in-place engagement that is required with all of it.
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
So I don't think any of us
So
are ready to make.
on the interviews, you'll collect a list, and Dina will send it over to me with contact information.
Yep.
Great. And it sounds like we'll be preparing some material for you for Chili Fest and the line dance, but that Happy City team won't come down for that.
Correct.
Yes, and in the kind of
Great.
points, yes, I like that format, right? So, like we talked about.
The starring,
With
like,
the starring, so to give people to give them ideas and then have them vote, as opposed to just asking them to come up with the idea. So if the material you send is targeted,
Yeah, I love your pictures.
yeah, pictures.
And the other picture I really liked,
Pictures.
and someone commented on this, by the way, you had a photo when you did your TED Talk about taking asphalt parking space and converting it into green space and stuff like that. Now, granted, this is probably really a long shot
Because it's Brixmore.
because it's Brixmore, but if we at least have that idea, a number of people have suggested that.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, your presentation, the pictures were perfect. If we could
Right.
just maybe have laminated,
Yeah, laminated
Pictures like
pictures
that,
or something
just
like
to hold
that, so we
up,
know we keep them intact for you.
yeah,
And have
Sure.
one picture, the one you had in your TED Talk about, you know how you had the planter boxes? Oh, I know, somebody was talking about Louisville and how Louisville's done such a great job of bringing in Main Street with the flower boxes and all that kind of stuff. So if you could send that picture in that packet, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay.
And so I'll deliver this by September 5th, and then between when I deliver and Chili Fest, it would be good to have a call with the folks who will be running that from CAPS just to ensure that all our instructions are clear, and especially that the data capture at the end happens. It's really important that we then see what people have voted for.
Okay.
So we'll tie that in as well.
And if you can't laminate it, I'll laminate it. I just think maybe if it's,
He's sending it, we're printing it.
Yeah, so.
oh, you're
yeah,
sending it, we'll print it.
Send it digitally, we'll do it.
Oh, great.
Format that
Okay.
you like.
Okay, we're on it.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you. That we've covered a lot of ground, and I think we've got nearly all of the answers we're looking for. So we're also starting, or we have a few additional research components that we're working on around the needs analysis, economic impact analysis, and the funding mechanism recommendations. We are curious whether your local expertise would be applied here, and whether anybody's interested in being involved in those processes. I don't think we need to decide on that right now. It's, I think, a little bit, there isn't an enormous rush if you want to talk about it over the next couple of weeks, but if anybody has any interest in volunteering to do some of the research, because I saw the initial research that you've done around putting together the placemaking master plan, we'd certainly welcome your input in one of these tasks.
Would you tell me the tasks again? Sorry, I was.
You're on the, okay,
Well,
we're on the, now on the same
we're
page.
doing
You're doing this
Yeah.
final bullet point, okay.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
on
On
our
the agenda, it's the final bullet point,
Yeah,
okay.
in our agenda, it's 5A, ambassador activity assignments and information gathering assignments.
oh, okay,
So that's how it relates to our agenda.
Okay,
okay.
And then on his agenda, it is the last
bullet
bullet
point.
Tax
point.
committee
Oh,
role.
okay,
We're on the same page.
okay, great.
Great.
So,
Yeah, so just whether anybody is interested in doing some local needs analysis, or say the economic impact analysis, or the funding mechanism recommendations. I think the needs analysis and the funding mechanism recommendations are probably the ones where your insight can be most impactful.
Say those again?
local needs analysis.
and funding mechanisms.
Okay, needs analysis
Yeah.
and funding mechanisms,
Right,
got
and
it.
Mitchell, I have needs assessment, and I also linked that with program ideas. And then
Okay,
also,
yeah.
creative asset inventory, so defining what a creative asset is and counting. That includes the count of artists and creative businesses in town. And then 2 notes that I wanted to make about the things he had on his list, the economic analysis and funding mechanisms. That's going to be a staff role. And sorry, Mitchell, I didn't mention that to you, but that's, unless anyone here has done economic impact analysis, then I would just be doing that myself. And then funding mechanisms as well. So those 2 pieces were not on the list, my list anyway, for you guys to help with. Unless anyone
Okay,
here has
that sounds
any
great.
particular
Because they're more
expertise.
technical. I'll just quickly underline that with both, but especially the funding mechanism recommendation.
Yeah.
Having the policy knowledge of the jurisdiction that you're working in, so first the local, then county and state, is really helpful. It varies so much from one location to another. So that's excellent, Dina, if that's something staff is taking on.
Yeah.
Well, and I suspect that
and
that some of us do actually have ideas and input on the funding mechanism, because we've always talked about it, and it is in our master planning document. So, I mean, sure, staff can do that, but I'm sure that.
Well, and let me clarify, when I say staff's gonna do it, I don't mean you won't have input. So I would do the background research and reporting, share it with you, get your input, feedback, comments, what have you, and then finalize those reports, give them to Mitchell, and then they do the analysis and synthesis and make recommendations.
Okay. Sounds good.
In the economic needs analysis, I assume that because the town hired Adam Hughes as our economic development person, that somehow or another he will be tied into this whole
A
thing?
little bit,
just a
not
little
much,
bit?
because it's not in his scope, but
Okay,
I've already had a meeting with him to discuss
with Adam, okay.
that, but when I start working on that, I'll keep you guys up to date and report those things.
Okay.
Just as an example, I'm hoping he can share with me his job class codes and stuff like that, where I can begin the research and pull data and numbers from the county and the state.
Okay,
So I hope he'll
And
provide.
I've also spoken, I interviewed Adam
Okay.
and have their project framework as well as the summary of their workforce analysis. And once our project framework is finalized, I'll be sending him that, so we're able to
Okay,
coordinate
so-
to a certain degree.
as the economic development consultant for the town, you guys are like talking and communicating, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
And so one thing that we'll do, maybe at the next meeting, if we can, is I'll make a list of the things that I'm taking on as a staff person and go over the strategy with all of you so that we're all on the same page about it. Those are the little details we haven't been able to get to because we're working on public outreach. Okay, so the research on data and all sorts of financial stuff will, those details will come next. So now that we're getting through our public outreach and where we're going next with public outreach, then we can start talking about the next step of the project, which is research and data gathering.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm sure you have some other things to discuss, and we've hit all the most pressing things that I wanted to go over with you. So I think we've got enough for the following meeting. I'll be awaiting any further information about the folks to speak with, and yeah, in the meantime, I hope the rest of your meeting goes well, and thank you for
Well,
having me.
and thanks for your huge amount of patience and support and, oh my goodness gracious, putting stuff together in 100-degree heat. And see, the next time you come out, it will be really nice. And it won't rain.
You have already changed the weather when they're.
I know, we'll probably have one of those infamous Colorado snowstorms with 18 inches of snow. Anyway, so
Thank you, Mitchell.
Keep the lights
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah,
Have a good evening. We'll talk again. Is the next meeting the 29th or the 22nd of August?
I think it's the 22nd, hang on.
Yep, fourth Thursday of August.
The 22nd.
Okay,
Okay.
got
Putting
it.
that in. Great. Well, we'll
Thank
talk to
you.
you then.
Thanks, take care. Thanks, Chris.
You as well. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
It's only 5:45 there, right? Okay.
6:45.
Oh, is it really?
We have to hang up.
Goodbye. Oh, we have to hang up. How do we hang up? Do we hit the phone
Yeah.
again? Bye.
We can just take the phone home with Mitchell and hey, what's for dinner?
You were whispering and him hearing it. That was amazing.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, does anybody have any thoughts, questions on what just we went through? Are we
Oh,
ready?
are we going to,
I know, but I just want to.
no, we did have a question that we never really answered. Let me go back and see if I can find, do we want to do another dialogue or workshop?
I think that's a no.
Yeah, that was a
It was
Because
$12,000.
$12,000 to $14,000.
It's 14, it's closer to 14.
And he,
Yeah.
and he said that the time is gonna come really soon when
Yeah.
it's not
We can call
applicable to
everybody and whip
take
them
it
into
anymore.
shape.
Okay, so the answer is
Change it
next
up.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you want to talk about who to put in those 2 additional?
Can we come back around to that? Can we get through our agenda and come back to that?
However you want to do it.
Because I would like to take time to talk about the main event too.
I thought we were gonna wait and do that
Well,
August 8th.
she put it on the agenda, so.
Oh, I didn't know you had that on your August 8th agenda.
We just thought we had so much right here that,
Yeah, we can move it if you want.
Well, I would, so the one thing I thought of that might be interesting is, and they do this at my, when my son was little, is the rose thorn thing. So we just talk about one thing that we really loved and one thing that we might want to change. And then that way, or that we didn't love so much. And then that way we have a little bit of feedback and a little bit of follow-up, but we can save real deep dialogue for our next meeting.
or even like next March.
Or if we have time, I mean, that's the other thing.
Yeah, do we have to make decisions on the draft renderings for the bigger?
I think so, in order to move that along, we
Yeah, so
probably
let's
have
go
to
to
do
the
that.
things that we absolutely
Absolutely have to
make
do. We don't
decisions
have
on.
to talk about main event.
The little one, the last one, the picture, the last one.
Wait, are we going there?
We're going to Prairie Dogs. We're moving to
Prairie Dogs.
Prairie
Wait,
Dogs.
wait, wait.
Yeah, I think
I
Prairie
need to
Dogs
pass
is
this out
important.
too. I just printed out the emails from
Okay.
whoever responded.
Did you by any chance print out that
Oh, I put it up
visual?
on screen.
Okay, that'd be great.
So we're done with 5A, we're on 5B. Is that where
We
we
are
are?
moving on to 5B,
Got it.
about activity review, very
Okay.
good.
I'm gonna turn the light out again.
Yeah, I like the green and yellow one down there. I
He's
think,
got buck teeth though, which
It
is a
looks like a
weird,
beaver.
weird, so no teeth.
Yeah, with the buck teeth, it looks like a beaver.
but I figure more people can decorate and do things with that design.
You guys are the artists. There's something about that one in the middle that kind of creeps
He's
me out.
creepy.
He
Oh,
creeps
yeah,
me
it's
out,
really
too.
I mean, I don't know anything about art, but he's kind of creepy.
There's a lot
Well,
of, yeah.
Christina and I have a long list that I think would make him not be creepy.
Oh, yeah.
So if we were just to, edit this list down a little bit, because she said some things that I said, these emails.
Okay,
We
can
can
I
just
ask you?
create a list.
Can we, so what kind of feedback is Icon Poly looking for? Do they have revisions of this as part of the cost, or is this an additional cost?
Yeah, they're waiting for your comments.
But it doesn't, so, they have an expectation that they'll do a couple rounds of proofing, and that's not additional monies?
I don't know how many rounds, but I'll find out, at least this one.
So we at least
Yeah.
get this one? Okay,
Yeah,
that's cool.
and then I'll
Good.
find out if there's more.
So, and if we actually did give them this long laundry list, is that,
So, when I give recommendations to artists on revisions, usually it's you pose the problem to them and let them figure out the solution. We don't design by committee, but this is different. So this is designing by committee.
okay.
So I suggest you guys tell me what you want Icon Poly to do, and they'll do it.
Okay.
Now, I would not ever recommend that for any other public art project where we've hired an artist to design something.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because it feels, I just want to be mindful of and not,
Yeah.
I don't
Not
think they
have
have any ownership over
okay,
this.
all right.
Okay, this is just really technical.
Yes,
Okay.
and,
They
In
want
the
it now.
interest, in the interest of
We
time,
just need all the tweaking.
yeah, in the interest of time, Christina had like 6 items that are tweaking or 4 items that are tweaking, and I had 6 items that are tweaking.
Oh my gosh.
And without us like reading through all of them and agreeing on this and this and this,
I think we do need to agree on it.
I think we do.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
designed by
I think we
committee.
do.
Okay.
I think the overall shape is, well, let's go through it point by point.
yeah,
and,
let's go through.
Let's see, so Christina said, anatomy of the prairie dog, move the eyes up closer to the top of the skull. I think there's too much definition in the eye anyway. I think just simpler, the shape.
I like the eye and the little green and yellow one. And you're right, it's closer to the top of the head, which makes sense. And it doesn't look creepy. Doesn't that guy look like,
Yeah, he looks creepy.
He especially looks creepy from the front, but I think it's because he's got that little downward scoop on his
slope.
nose.
Yeah, and that's one item that I mentioned in here.
Okay. How are we gonna go through this and? I don't disagree with all of the points. I don't know how to make it succinct and give them, not give them 12 things that they have to change, because I think you guys have basically the same things, right?
Yeah, we have basically the same things, and there's 1 or 2 that she had attention to, 1 or 2 that I had attention to. For instance, that tail has just got to go. That's got to look less like a penis. That tail.
if we're being recorded?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Take a look at, it's Christina sent us an email with her suggestions that had pictures of prairie dog tails, and it's shorter and wider and looks nothing like that. So if they could go from your pictures that you sent, Christina, with this email of yours.
Okay.
Did the pictures print out?
There's just one, and it's just the
Oh,
2.
I can always just resend just the pictures if you need. Oh, the hugging
How
one.
come you had
Yeah,
pictures?
she's got the hugging one, but there's another one with
You know what, it
tails.
didn't print out that second page.
This one
You
they
can
do
pass
in the
those
back.
around.
So, okay, so
Oh,
let me
you
see
got
if,
Yeah, I don't see a tail though in these. I just see the guy in the back.
There's not one in here.
Okay, I don't, it's okay.
I think just shorter and wider, let's just say shorter and wider. Shorter, wider
Yeah.
tail, less, I agree, like, less detail, we don't need all the fur detail.
Smoother,
Just smooth it out.
But, right, because we want the
Simpler,
artists.
more contemporary,
More
more.
contemporary. Well, I mean,
Something.
so contemporary doesn't really, I mean, we just need to give them specific direction, I think. It
Okay.
sounds like that.
Is that the right word, like smooth? Yeah,
Yeah.
smooth.
Less detail.
Less
That's another
detail.
good one.
No,
Simple,
no
maybe.
fur. It's
Yeah,
gotta have
Right,
no fur.
Yeah, just
Not at all.
smooth, no fur, smooth, no fur, right?
Smooth, no
Smooth
fur.
surface, no fur.
Yes.
Okay.
Could you put that down, Dina?
I did.
Oh,
Instead of-
You want the
Ski
eyes-
slope nose.
Well,
Yeah.
match the shape, I mean, we almost need to just draw on that and,
well,
We can just show them the
the
picture.
line from the nose to the top of the head should be straight, no ski jump. That's
Yeah,
called
we
a
can
ski
show them
jump.
that picture on the left. Do you want to show the
Yeah, that's
top left?
perfect.
Yeah, he's
We'll just show
perfect.
them that picture.
Yeah. And, I
that's
don't know how
round.
tall I am, but, oh, I can't reach it. I was gonna suggest maybe we forget the ear altogether. We're trying to lessen the details, you know?
That's not a bad idea.
I think it's
don't-
creepy.
I think those other ones don't really have ears either.
Yeah,
And I don't think people are gonna notice, like,
They're
I
not.
can't
I don't
say,
think so
I
either.
can't say that I've ever
Take
noticed
away
a
the
prairie dog
ear.
ear as
Right.
I've seen them, and I run by them a lot.
Take
yeah,
away
I
the
think
ear.
that's a good, I think just take the
Yeah,
ears
'cause
out.
I
I just like the yellow and green one,
Yeah.
but if we want to do it without teeth, that's fine too.
Oh, yeah, I don't like
That's-
the
that's
teeth.
kinda
I don't like the
beaver-ish.
teeth.
That is beaver.
teeth.
Yeah, I wouldn't send them that.
But otherwise,
Well, but
yeah,
otherwise,
the head shape
the head shape is good, the eyes at a logical
The
place.
nose is
The nose is
good.
right.
There's, you can tell there's a nose, but it's not,
It's simpler.
yeah.
Yeah, and I like the way it's on that base, by the way,
although the hands are huge on that one.
that they're
The
kind of
hands are,
weird.
and I don't know if that's how the artist
And the
painted
neck is
them.
a little bit different on a prairie dog, right? It's not like no neck. It's
Right.
kind of like
Yeah, I
a
think-
little bit of a neck.
I think
Yeah, I like the
their,
neck on their first rendering.
I think their rendering is okay in
Yeah, just
that.
smoother.
Just smoother.
Or just reshape
fix
that
the
head, the back, and because
fix
the back has a
tail.
lump too that I think is a little unnecessary. Like, because I don't think you see how like the prairie dog's head kind of like on this. You
Yeah,
see
it's like
here,
a
the-
human head.
I don't know. It's like a human head.
The ear and
It's
the eye are
it's
just
too
so
round,
distracting.
so less round. I know.
Oh, and the mouth is horrible from the front. You're not seeing the front view, but the mouth is absolutely horrible from the front on this. Look at that.
Ooh.
It should be just a straight smiling line.
Yeah, the nose is a simpler nose, matching more of that corn dog.
Yeah. And the smile should be just a straight smiling
He
line.
looks like he's got a little bit of a rope around his neck.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I thought. I'm like, oh, am I in some dark place or what?
Do
Yeah.
you want the mouth open or closed? 1 second.
Closed, straight line.
Yeah, actually,
Could you say
yeah.
straight
Do they
line?
yeah, I would say closed.
I'd
too.
say closed, because then we don't have to deal with the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know sometimes you can see them, but.
Oh,
That's not too many. I think that's
That's not too
plenty.
many.
Yeah, I think that's plenty of,
Straight smiling line.
You're good.
yeah, it's just the head and the fur.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
this one's not bad. See, like
No,
his mouth is just
Yeah,
simple.
oh, yeah. Okay, circle that.
I think simple is good.
Well, I mean, I like your word contemporary, I just don't know how it translates.
You don't
Right,
really
but you know what I
see it.
mean. Yeah.
Nobody's seeing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
Then
do you
think
remember
it's a
when you
beaver. My
sent
son
us
always
over that
already
stuff
think
with the
that's
winged
a-
whales and
Not
stuff
bad.
like that?
Whimsical, I mean,
Yeah.
it should be a little,
It should be
feel a little more
whimsical.
whimsical, like
This
the
is-
pigs.
This is
But it will be once they
humorous.
paint it.
I understand,
Yes.
but that's what
Well,
we're trying
no,
to,
no,
we're trying
we need
to.
a simple form underneath.
All right, I
you
think
want to
this,
look at
I think
pictures?
this is a good rendering
One,
to send.
one more. The hands don't match the feet. The hands have all this claw detail and the feet are general. I think the hands should have, take out the claws,
Less detail.
less detail and take out the double chins too. See the
Oh,
double
that might be
chins?
part of the smoothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fur.
Take out the double
Take out the
chins
fur.
and simplify the hands. Now, remember we talked about the hands being kind of like this so that they were away from the body? How do we feel about that?
I just wonder if that's, if they can't do that with a mold.
They might not be able to do that with the mold.
I have a question.
What does whimsical mean, though? What do you mean by that?
So if you, when Dean and I went to Kentucky, at the airport, they had these pigs, and the pigs felt whimsical. Like they were in a position where the pig was like sort
So
of
like
walking.
a motion.
Yeah, it just
dance
felt
or something.
Yeah, it felt.
Yeah.
You
that's
want it to
nice.
feel fun
Okay, so
and
like, yeah, okay.
whimsical. It has a sense
I
of
mean, they
humor.
are cute. They're cute. Prairie dogs
Yeah.
are cute. They do feel that way.
Whimsical is playful, quaint, or fanciful, especially in an appealing and amusing way.
But that's hard to, like, that's hard to take our comments.
It's not really an artwork.
Okay, they'll
Whimsical
get it.
is like a
good.
term in
Is
art
it?
design.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gives them a sense
Okay,
of what we're
cool.
looking for. If we
Okay,
say
I-
whimsical and contemporary, then they'll be able
Okay,
to.
cool.
Because this is very, I mean, it made me think of when I was in high school and we dissected little pigs. I mean, that looks like.
Oh, God, yes, I
baby
remember
pig
that.
face.
Yeah, and those claws remind me of Dracula, so could we
My daughter would
say
eat
something about the
bacon.
hands?
Forever
Less
after that.
detail.
Less detail.
Less
Match
detail.
Match the feet.
To match the feet,
Yeah, just take away the nails.
take away the nails.
Okay.
Yeah, they do look human too, how that's.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Move the other one. Okay, so does anyone else have any,
That is plenty of comments for them. That's 8.
Except for the top one. I guess I'll do
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, please leave that one off. That's not their fault. And that's why I turned mine white, because the color was so weird, like, it just felt funny. Okay.
Okay,
Is there-
great.
Did you put something up there about the tail?
I have shorter, wider tail.
Yes.
Good.
She's got it up there.
All right.
How many times did you have to take?
All right.
Okay, so that is that, and then talking about how to establish the program to invite the artists, because one of the artists at the main event was like, oh, you're doing Tall Prairie Dogs, I want to be on the list to be invited, so
Oh, right.
we need to figure out what that looks like, and I think, Dina, you said you have done something like this in the past, that you would be able to give us a guideline to,
Yeah, I mean, I've done 100,000 art selection processes, so it just depends on how you want to do it. Do you want to, we can do a quick workshop about it and kind of brainstorm. Or if you guys just have ideas right now and you just want to throw them out, we can decide. Or, there's an invitational, there's a call for entry.
Because I think we decided we didn't necessarily want a theme, but it needs to be family friendly. And that they can add anything to it that they want. but
Yeah,
it
I think we
can't
have a list already of
Yeah.
the characteristics that we want,
yeah, because we did talk about, we were hoping for just that, because they needed to pick it up, we were hoping that they were local.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
So we have had
We'll have to move it.
so we'll just
Yeah.
have to go back and look at our notes
Yeah,
about that.
and I think it was a call for entry kind of thing too,
But we,
I think I gave you guys something, and now, it's been so long and so many
Yeah, do you remember, Terry? Does that ring a bell to
Do we
you?
have any idea
I'm gonna look
when
at
we
my
did it?
folder.
And I can look in my notes.
That's okay, I'll look in my folder too while you guys are chatting.
so I
When
didn't
are we
think-
doing this, by the way? Somebody asked me that at the main event.
Well, I don't know, until we actually get Prairie Dogs in hand, then we can't have it, put any kind of
Okay.
date. Until we've finished with the fabricator, and
Okay.
then once they've given us the next round of designs, then hopefully, if we like it and approve it, then it will give us a date on
That
when.
is-
Maybe spring? Was that kind of what we're thinking? I know it's under our 2019 work plan.
But we could do the program, and then we unveil them in the spring.
Unveil them in the
artists
spring,
could
so it's
be-
warm and you see
Actually,
them
you
popping
know what I
up.
think would be really cute? Is to have them done and have them as an entry in the July 4th parade.
Till they fall off the float in the street,
No, the artists can walk in the parade with them.
holding their 4-foot prairie dog.
So I think so we talked about not having a theme, making it family friendly, not lessening the scope too much so that we are inhibiting any creativity. And then we, as a committee, choose, just like we did for the sculpture. So we send it out as, I think we said regionally, so it's still local.
Because they have to pick it up.
Because they have to pick
Because
it out.
we're not
yeah.
delivering prairie
And
dogs to
then hopefully
anybody.
we get enough
interest.
so that we get to choose, so.
How many do we have?
I don't think we need a
12.
workshop for
12.
that.
No, I don't think so either.
Since Dana has done
Okay.
so many
We could just,
RFPs.
couldn't we just like send a call for entries to the secretary of each one of the local art organizations?
Yeah, I think the promo is not the
That's not the
issue at
promo.
hand. It's really the selection process. So, for example, we already talked about theme. We're not giving anyone a theme, right?
Right.
You have to do something about Superior, just as an example. We're not doing themes.
Right, no theme.
Then the next thing is the eligibility. So we're saying regionally, what does that look like?
Boulder County?
Well,
Go bring it
we
together, right?
said that they need to be able to pick up
And bring it back.
And bring it back.
At their
So,
expense.
because we initially said Boulder County, and then we decided that
Denver
we didn't want to
Prairie
limit
Dog.
too much, but the reality is we're not delivering prairie dogs, and they have to pick it up.
So
They-
for example, if someone wants to come from Steamboat, that's okay.
Sure.
It's up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So eligibility is really just about pickup.
Yes.
And then, next thing would be, what are you expecting to review? Because I think we'll get a very limited application pool if we're asking for proposals up front.
Well, not proposals, but can't we just ask for, 5 old-fashioned slides or 5 digital images of their work?
Right, that's what I mean. So are you gonna ask for proposals, or are you just going to pick people based on their previous work?
I would say based on their previous work.
I think a little bit of both.
Because we,
I think that the proposals were important when we were doing the roundabout art.
Yeah.
And some people did pencil sketches, and they really had no interest in, they just wanted to submit something, so. I think putting some thought into it would be good.
Right, their initial idea, but let's see what you've done before.
Right. Well, and, we haven't gone through public art selection guidelines yet, which we'll do through the master planning process. But it's become more and more unpopular for artists to do design concepts without getting paid. So that's kind of where I'm going with this idea, is artists.
I was just
we-
wondering that, sure, if you're,
We don't want to make artists do a bunch of work to not be
Right.
selected. So that's kind of.
because we're only
Again,
paying them
those are like
$1,000,
details
right?
on art section stuff we haven't gotten into
How much?
together.
Well, maybe
Well,
we
I thought we
didn't,
said between 5.
well,
Give their
how do we
idea
handle the
of how much
roundabout?
they're
We didn't offer them anything to apply, did we?
We didn't.
No.
But did you ask for a design concept?
Oh,
Yes, we
yeah,
did.
we had design concepts
But it's
and
also a
slides and-
$200,000 project.
Versus
This is a $500.
Yeah, so,
project.
I mean, those are some things we can go through later, and if you're just at your gut feeling you want to ask for design concepts now, then we do that. But, it's up to,
Have artists,
get
do
limits
artists do
before.
this knowing nothing about art, but how would you get pictures of something they were gonna do? Had they maybe painted horses or cows or pigs before?
Well,
Or
they
how
have,
did-
they have to have, I think, to be
Well,
able
so,
to,
yeah, so what you do is you select the artists
Okay,
based on their past work, and then you pay them for proposals
right.
okay,
that you then review.
okay.
Um,
Do they have to have done some, like,
Okay.
shapey thing?
I think you're choosing them based on their aesthetic.
Yeah, just
Not necessarily.
anything, anything.
Their
you know.
aesthetic, their materials,
Yeah.
how they work with materials.
So your recommendation is not to ask for a sketch then?
I think you're gonna get less artists of quality interested if you ask them for proposals ahead of time.
So fewer
But
artists.
visuals, we need visuals,
Yeah, of course, you would judge them based on their past work.
yeah. Yeah, for
But again,
example,
this is sort of what I meant by workshop-y kind of thing, where we go through all of the details, and I'll give you like a million choices for you to decide how to do it.
And I think that we do, because I want to know, I mean, are we, who's are we going to get sponsors for this? Where are they going to go? I mean, we do have a million details that we have to, and we can do a subcommittee if it's not of, if it's not of interest to everybody, we can do a subcommittee.
That's a good idea, because I would have no idea, so.
But, some of these programs, I see that the money comes in and it goes to the museum, or it, various, it's a fundraiser. Is it, do we want it to be a fundraiser? Do we want it to be, just a fun, whimsical art component? So there are
So
lots of
when we
details.
talk about our timeline on this, we're now into July. It sounds like it would take at least, 4 or 6 months? No?
No, they said, once
don't
they
think we
do, once they
decided
get a
July.
final design, it's like
I heard
10.
someone say 4th of July next year, but I think that's way too
I
late.
think it's way too late.
Oh, yeah.
She was just saying they should be in the parade. is
Oh,
what she
sure,
said.
yeah. I mean, that
She was
could be one of
joking.
the components, but I wouldn't say that.
No, they
We're
would
not
be
waiting
finished
for the
before
reveal.
then. No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Once the Icon Poly gets approval from us to go forth, I think it's 12 weeks, they said, for them to fabricate. So we can be working on the program while that's happening and do the call to artists.
Okay.
And, have some of these things be working in parallel.
So, but they might not
But they
be
could be
put up
painting
until March.
Well, I would say at this point in time, they would be painting in the winter time.
Okay.
And then we would have a spring pop-up.
A spring pop-up. Oh, look at all the babies.
That would be
Okay,
cool.
that all sounds good.
That sounds good.
Potentially, I mean, in theory.
Just a quick point that might be of interest to Dina. I read the Icon Poly procedure about when they, how they do the whole thing and the steps that they take. And they say they give you an image, like they've already given us the image. Then they get the feedback from the image and then they create the actual image.
Right.
Would you let them know that we don't want that? We want them to create a new image that we can see before they actually
Oh,
create
yeah,
the sculpture?
they won't carve a mock-up until we say that it's good.
That's
But I don't know
that's
how
not
many
included in
revisions
the,
are included in the current price.
at least one should be, you'd
Right,
think.
at least one, but I mentioned I'll ask them how many revisions are included in the current price. Once we give them the final go-ahead, then they actually carve a mock-up and send it.
And send that, and so we
Yeah.
see that too.
Yeah.
before. Okay.
Oh, really?
That's
That's kind
awesome.
of cool.
Yeah, but I think we need to see a better one flat.
Carve or
No, they will.
cast. I can't remember.
No, that we can't give them these recommendations and then think that they're gonna do something. That would be a little crazy.
What a unique business.
It's fun. Okay, so everybody good with the changes on that? We will work, I would love to be on the subcommittee planning out the program that we want to design. Does anyone else want to take part? You look like you're dying to.
For the prairie dogs?
Yeah.
I've had it with prairie
The
dogs.
program?
What we want to, how we want to, what type of program we want to establish and how we want to, like we were just going through, whether it's regional, we have a lot of that information, but we really need to coalesce it into something that we can put out to artists and understand what the program is that we're doing.
Oh, about the call for entries kind of thing? Oh, yeah, I would love to work on that.
We'll put Claire on it since she's not here.
Claire's already on
I
bus
think
stops,
like-
You want to do
though.
it?
Yeah, that's true.
Claire's on bus stops.
Yep.
I was
That's right, I'm on bus
kidding.
stops though too, so I don't know
Well,
how to.
put me, because I'm not doing bus stops and I'm not, yeah. My big thing is a master plan.
Well, you would like the details of some of this, I think.
Okay, so Daryl, Marcia, and Debbie are on that. Sorry, I typed it in. It's good.
It's locked in.
You should put Mike on there since he's the one who is now an expert.
It should have been Jane.
Yeah, it should have been Jane. I know, I talked to her yesterday, I think it was, and she's like, oh my gosh.
Did she make it to the main event? I didn't see her.
No,
Okay.
no, because the showings on their houses started Saturday. I think.
Okay,
Okay.
moving on, it's 10 after 8.
Is it 10 after 8? Oh my gosh. So what do you guys want to talk about? I think,
Are we done with prairie dogs?
yeah.
We are not doing small wooden prairie dogs for Chili Fest, but might we do them for the line dancing?
Why did you say we're not doing?
Oh, I thought because it was just that we're just gonna be at the booth and we'll do the thing that Mitchell is setting up for us more in
Yeah, Dina
terms
said
of.
You might have them there
Hire
for
an
people to
artist.
take away. Where they can take them home.
Oh, none of them wanted to do that because we had all the decorations.
We have all the
Well, if you don't have
But we
decorations, you
need
just-
more space and more help. Let me just, if this is still gonna revive as a possibility for Chili Fest, I'm gonna be there. I would be happy to do it again because I thought it was great fun and it was really energetic. I'm not down on it at all. It's just that, let me give you a little snapshot. I had a couple of OMG moments, and I know you had a couple of OMG moments too. And one was at like 20 after 5, and we're like, you're saying to me, we've run out of markers. We need more markers. We only bought 4 sets of markers, and there was 20 kids at the table at like 20 minutes after 5.
So the setup is
And
key.
Setup is so key. And we had like 3 chairs per table. Well, what the kids did is 2 kids would like butt themselves on one chair, and then another one would stand here.
Right.
And then 2 butts on one chair, and another one would stand here. And I came out of Michael's, I went to Daryl and I said, we need more markers. And so, should I buy more? I went to Michael's and bought more, and you also mentioned running out of stickers, already at 20 after 5. So I bought stickers, so I came out of Michael's, and then I had this OMG moment, because there was Debbie being like in control of this incredible crowd. There was like wall-to-wall kids at the side of her
It's that bossy
table.
thing with kids.
And then there were 2 rows of adults behind all the kids, craning their necks to see what their kids were doing. There was like 50 kids on each side of the table, I swear. And not only that, but then there was a line of people waiting to get in to the center space between the 2 tables. So
And
that
it was
was,
raining too, so everyone's like, this
that
is
was
the
the
one thing
first
we can actually do.
OMG moment. And then Christina had a great suggestion, because I was trying to clean up the tables, and there were little piles of all of our decorations, and she said, why don't you just leave the piles? That way, when they sit down, they can actually get something accomplished, because there's no way they can
Yeah, I'm a
stand back up
messier kind of person. I'm
and
like,
go
just put it
anywhere.
out.
Just put it
They'll
out.
do it.
Yeah, and so.
But you were really good. You were
So
really
I
good.
brought those markers and I
guys
brought
were.
those stickers, and I said, excuse me, I'm not really in line, I'm just trying to bring more supplies in. And I weaved my way in through the crowd to get to between the 2 tables so I could put stuff on the tables. And once I got the stuff on the tables, my back was against the back of the thing, and I could not move. There was a mother was elbowing me over here, and just delighted to be helping kids, and 2 kids stepping on my feet over here. It was bodies packed. I'm serious. So we need more help and we need more space
I
if we're
don't
gonna
think
do
that
it.
Chili Fest will be the same.
When we did the mural boards at Chili Fest, it went beautifully, remember?
We did have 2 tents.
2 tents,
Yes.
And a
long
lot of tables.
Yes.
And we had done it the first time at the 4th of July, which was much more haphazard. Remember the first time we did the mural boards was the 4th. That was a little crazy, so we sat down and said, okay, what do we need to do? And that's where we came up with the cups and all this kind of stuff. So I think that,
Yeah, space and supply.
yes, space and just,
But so before we even get to the details of how to actually run the booth, do we have enough people? I don't think we do. It's unfortunate, because I do know the board asked us to do it at the event. But we have now committed to doing a Happy City component, so we have 1 person taken out for that. You're not going to be there?
No, I'm there.
she is.
I'm on Happy
So
City.
these
Yeah.
3 people, I may be there, but I'm not committing, because I may have to be
Right.
schlepping
I'll
my kid
bet I
around
could
town.
talk Mike into helping, and what do we think we need? When we did Chili Fest last year with the murals, we had, 6 people? 8
We-
people?
But it doesn't
This
have
is
to.
a lot easier, in all honesty.
There's a lot of other
Yeah.
things going on, and they can sit down and actually
Right.
work on it. I mean, I
Without
really.
supervision.
Without
I really
supervision, they don't
see-
need us.
I see them, if we
Yeah.
have it more space,
Mhm.
they can actually sit and do
Right.
the work.
Which is what we want, because then we want the
Okay.
adults talking to us.
Do you want 2 tents
Right.
then?
Yeah.
I think 2 tents and 4 tents. I can show you what our Chili Fest setup was,
Yeah.
and I think something similar. If we want, I mean, you 3 are committing to
And
doing this
if
and
Terry
finding
can do
volunteers.
2 hours, Chili Fest goes from
2 to 6.
2 to 6 this year?
And now we're back to the help. What about just calling up a temp agency and saying, we need 2 people
No,
that
don't do
have,
that.
taught children before?
We have people
for
in town that we could.
4
you
hours.
Find 3 friends to have them
Actually,
come and
right.
volunteer.
Kitty might be able to help with this as well. She'll be back from New Mexico.
Or put Kitty on the dem tent and you come and help
Did
out.
someone
that's
mention
true.
the slip kit?
Actually, we
Yeah,
can
what about the
split.
Slick
She could do
Kids?
two hours, and then I can do 2 hours.
Yeah, tell your friends, invite your friends to come and volunteer.
Because the cool thing about the prairie dogs, the way they are, you can literally just put everything in, we can talk about this just email wiser, but all those craft things are just in this big trough down the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And they just get whatever they want, and the scissors, safety scissors, and they have the glue that, thank goodness that was Christina's idea.
And they're occupied, so the
They're
admins are talking to us.
occupied.
That's what we
Okay,
want to
so
do.
we
We
have,
need a ton of chairs.
we'll get there.
We'll worry about the details later.
Yeah,
I
We
need
have
to get some
58,
down.
we have 58 left over prairie dogs. Most of them are the big. There's a few of the small. Do we have money in the budget that allows us to purchase
Oh,
more?
do we have money?
Because we
The small ones?
Yeah, so the budget, there's $3,730 left in your CAPS budget.
What is that?
And that, what does that need to cover?
That needs to cover,
Line dancing?
no, that will cover the unveiling
Okay.
and any educational stuff you guys are doing this year, you know, trainings or what have you.
You don't have time for that.
You said
Wait,
how
we
much?
don't have time for that.
Where are you sitting now?
So I have a question. Our budget was, we went to the board and asked for $100,000. They gave us $150,000. Is this 3730 all we have left of the $150,000?
Oh, no, this is the CAPS budget of $5,000.
Oh, this is just our
Oh,
$5,000.
This is just our, whatever we want to do.
So whatever you do at your booths comes out
Okay.
of your CAPS budget. So the wood cut prairie dogs were $1,094.
Okay,
The stickers that you printed for 4th of July to hand out, give or take, I mean, it could go to the main event budget, but it could go to the CAPS budget. It's only $177, so
that wasn't a big
wherever you
deal.
want to put it, it really doesn't matter to me. But that's what I was including in
Okay.
your CAPS budget, and so your remaining balance is $3,730.
But
Okay.
we could conceivably, because the pop-up, when we conceived of the pop-up prairie dog, and I know we spent more because we went for 12, we budgeted for, or, you know, our thought was that it would include this component, but you're saying that this component has to come out of our regular $5,000.
It doesn't absolutely have to, it was just, I was under the impression that whenever you guys do your CAPS booths at events, that's where your
Okay.
$5,000 covers.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a lot better.
So,
'cause I was just like-
because
But
the,
any artwork we commission, like the pop-up, like the
paint the 4-footers.
4-foot prairie dogs, that will come out of the $150,000
Got it. Okay.
budget.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
So my suggestion, and we went back and forth between 6 inches and 8 inches. I like 8 inches personally,
oh, a little bit taller
a
than the
little bit
6,
taller.
but not as big as the, so
12
is it
inches.
possible to get 8-inch prairie dogs that are not on such, I mean, it's beautiful wood, but can we choose a slightly
You
thinner?
want thinner? I was kind of going with that picture from the block picture you sent.
Yeah, it
And
was,
so,
no, it was,
I mean, the cutout in the wood, I mean, the wood was beautiful.
we have, I have them in my house.
So I
Yeah.
don't quite know what the product ended up looking like.
Oh, I was gonna bring them, so I didn't even get to see Marcia's
So yeah,
painted
we can do an 8-inch tall
They're in your
with
house.
a
They're at your
thinner
house.
Thinner wood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can show you I'll bring it down so
No,
you
I
can see
gave
it
it
and
to
show you the
Dad
dowel
in a
size,
bucket.
but then it would be great.
Okay, so how many of those do we need?
So in that 1 hour, and again, it was sort of bedlam, and to Christina's point, it was raining, and so this was the activity that people
Right.
were drawn to. We went through 75.
That's amazing.
Oh. And how many do we have left?
So we have 58 plus 6, so almost about 60, so, well, or maybe 75, so whatever,
Yeah, there, started with 125.
125.
There were 75 big, and there were 50 small. The smalls were more popular. Now, I don't know if
The
that's
smalls have
because of the
six.
size, but Mike and I drilled the whole, which, it's really easy for us. He's got it down to a science now. We've got it down to a science.
Okay.
Now, you can have Kyle take that 8-incher, and in his process of when a
Yeah.
computer cuts it, you can put a stake. I don't know if you have an opinion one way or another.
Oh, so you don't have to drill first?
So you don't have to drill. Now,
Yeah.
the drilling is not a big deal. Now, on the big ones, we actually used oak dowels because they were stronger. But on the little ones, we just used whatever. It was less expensive.
Okay, so, 100, so we have a total of 150?
No. We only have 56 left.
Right, so
Yeah,
if we
50.
order 100, so we'll have
Order 100 little ones.
150.
108-inch ones,
Right.
and
Then the
108-inch
150. Do you
ones.
think that's
And
reasonable?
we need a deadline. Oh, I felt so sorry for Debbie.
No, it was no big deal. We
It
just went
was
out
a
and picked
big
them up.
deal. First they weren't ready
Okay,
on
so you think
Friday, then they
100
weren't
is
ready
good?
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay,
100's
so
good.
I think
Yeah.
100's good.
Give
And
them a
how mu-
deadline.
Okay, so then that leaves how much money for the unveiling? We really want to talk about the unveiling because that is in 3 weeks.
That will leave approximately, I'd say 2,700 to be safe.
So,
What can we do for that? We can get some flowers.
You know, I
You said the fabric.
yeah.
Well, actually, Melinda shouldn't this
I had such a
We have, so the 150,000, since it's part of the unveiling for a piece of,
No, it's construction money, so that doesn't pay for.
It's okay. It's gonna be a small party.
It's okay,
really-
but she had the best idea for decorations on the, if we do a little tent,
Oh,
maybe at
yeah.
Grasso Park.
I thought that we could buy like those wooden shower curtain rings and just string them together. So like when you walk into the tent, like a hippie thing, you're going through rings.
And
And we
then
could spray
all-
paint them in the 3 colors.
All the food is gonna be round.
We'll have round.
Donuts,
No, I'm
bagels.
super simple because you said like that. I mean, we couldn't even get the other committee peoples to come to our well-being workshop. I think we were going to have a very poor turnout for this party. I think it's just kind of a nod. Thank you, Dow. So
Take pictures for public relations.
I don't think
You
we.
know, it'll probably be the mayor and a handful of.
Exactly.
We
Just a
actually,
handful.
trustees.
Can we have it in here?
we liked,
No, this isn't.
Ah,
This is like,
so no.
sorry, this is not a party room.
This is not a party room. Okay. Well, okay. Well, then I thought, okay, just a tent in Grasso, because you can just walk onto the bridge and down
And
the
look.
point when we have binoculars and we can look. Grasso's beautiful. There's a bathroom here. We need it, and then we spray paint our shower curtain rings, and
and
then
have round food.
we have round food,
Ring
and then
food.
I can like decorate the tents, because I can.
And maybe we talked about possibly at the main event, formal invitations to the trustees.
I think we should.
Anybody that we
Do you think
thought
that's
was-
going to be enough? Because I don't, Dina, I mean, having done these before.
I think we can invite the advisory
I think
committees
we should
by
invite them by-
email, and it'll be a
Oh,
nice,
okay.
pretty email. We can either do an Evite kind of email, where,
Okay.
you know, the envelope comes out and opens. If you want to do handwritten invitations to the trustees,
That was what we were thinking.
you know, that's only 7 people, right? So that's not
Two.
many.
Yeah.
And then take RSVPs, you know, and I bet we'll get 20 people.
Can we have alcohol in the park with a tent? Do we have to get a permit if we wanted to do that?
I think if it's a free invitation only event, we do not have to have a permit.
So we can do wine.
So we could do wine at the event without
And
having to.
I will confirm
Will you
that.
confirm
That is a
that?
state law from what I understand.
Because I know if I as a resident wanted to have alcohol at a party in a park and I was reserving the thing, I have to go through a liquor, something with the town. Like the board has to approve it.
Okay, let me find out.
Okay.
Okay,
Because I
so we
think we
just
do
need so you can rent the tent for us, so the
Yeah.
expense of the tent is,
Yeah,
I mean, we're gonna have plenty of money. I mean,
yeah,
this
we'll
is a
get a
very
tent that gets
simple.
put up by the company, so.
Okay.
It'll be a nice, big, pretty looking tent,
With chairs.
not just a pop-up.
We can decorate it with prairie dogs.
We'll decorate with prairie dogs. And then, is there some sort of,
And we have-
how do you do like a projector so he can have
Yeah, we have a
photos
screen, like
A
we did
screen.
at the workshop. We could do the screen and a laptop and projector.
outside?
Oh, well, and actually, if we did a tent wall, a white
Yeah,
wall,
a
we could
tent
just
wall.
project on the
That's a
wall
great
and not
idea.
have to bring a projector.
I like
Not have
that
to bring
idea.
the screen out.
Yes.
I like that idea. You know,
Okay.
for movie nights, you can do like white sheets with black sheets behind it.
Yeah.
And
But
it
if we
actually
just
shows
do-
up really well.
And actually,
So it's on
maybe
the back
two
of it.
sides of the wall, because then it'll make it a little bit darker too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what
That's
time,
fine.
just quickly, what time?
So it's a Thursday.
And it's the first day of school.
So, okay, right now
Oh
I'm
my
looking
gosh.
outside, it's 8:25 and it's dark already. So if we want people to actually see, right, that, you know,
We're
with the
doing this on the
binoculars.
first night of school.
We're doing this in the first night of
That's
school.
what that was the date we pulled.
I mean, I think just
And
an hour.
Friday is the HOA movie night, which is why we.
Right, which is why we didn't do Friday night.
And
just
Dal's in town already, so we're not paying him
Right.
to come, so that's why that it had a
Well, that
few
makes
days of a
sense.
window there.
Is he available on the 14th?
Yeah, could he do
I can find out.
Tuesday?
Could you ask if he could do the 14th, just out of curiosity?
Okay.
And then, I think just an hour and a half, right? Maybe? I mean, even in.
Yeah,
How about an hour?
Have it just an hour. No, seriously. I think just an hour. Just stop by and say hello. Just, right?
Yeah. Well, you want
And if people are really into it, I'm sure he's gonna be around to linger. but
So
it's not
6 to
gonna-
7
6 to 7. It's
or
still
6 to 7:30?
6 to 7:30 sounds
6 to
perfect.
7:30.
Then it sounds like we're
I'm available
serious.
the whole week, so that's.
Okay, and then the other thing that I would love to do, I mean, I would love to get to everything, but we do need to figure out a time for the cowboy line dance, and we need to figure out who we want to hire. You said you have ideas, Terry, for.
Oh, I had a lady.
She talked to her,
Talked
right?
with the lady who.
Okay,
Yes, but
so
I've gotta-
is she good for the 21st?
I've got to confirm with her, but yes, she was pretty flexible, so I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, so line dance folks, people that have that in their heads, what were you thinking for timing?
September 21st,
Yeah,
right?
it's a Saturday, so
Okay.
do you want a late afternoon?
2 to 4?
Yeah, I'd rather do 3 to 5.
Whatever.
Later in the day, so it's not in the middle of somebody's afternoon.
So are we gonna have food trucks there?
I don't know.
No, I haven't done anything about that.
Do we have money in the budget for food? How does that work? Or do you pay them or
We,
because
it
they're earning money?
depends, so, some of them ask for a minimum, and some of them don't. In this case, I bet they would, because it'll be a smaller event.
So we could invite the gelato lady.
I was gonna say, totally
Why
the
don't we
gelato
invite
lady.
the gelato lady?
What if, okay, there's a guy, now it's Louisville, but he started, it's really pretty cool. It's called Culinary Caveman, and it's all organic and all homemade and stuff. What if we just almost had, if it's a cowboy theme with line dancing, that kind of stuff, you could do barbecue. I mean,
Yeah, I think because we are trying to make this a community engagement event, we're trying to capture, I think we need to make it a slightly bigger event. I mean, I won't spend any money on Dow. I'll paint the shower rings myself if it means having an extra
I'll help you.
1,000, right, to get the food trucks. I think that's gonna bring
Or something.
people.
So you
or
think a food
something.
truck would be,
I think, yeah, I think that is a draw.
Maybe Wayne's Barbecue would make an exception.
Yeah, so I think if we advertise it.
When I spoke
don't
with
have a
them,
truck,
he's
though.
like, we don't have
No.
staffing at night, we
Do
don't
they,
do that.
do they cater?
They do.
We can just do
There you
cater.
go.
Yes.
I also know the KT Barbecues folks.
Oh, do you?
I do.
They're great, and they do great catering.
They do great
I
catering.
think
Yes.
that's a great idea. We make it a big party.
It's like
if we
it's
feed
line
people,
dancing
feed
and-
them and they will come.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, barbecue.
Okay,
Get the
so
gelato lady.
Do you want to do it 4 to 6 instead of 3 to 5?
Yes, because it's
Yes.
dinner time.
It's dinner time.
4 to 6,
Mhm.
gelato and barbecue.
Nice fall day,
line
September
dancing,
21st. Hopefully it won't rain.
And the cowboy reading his
The
poetry.
cowboy
Yeah,
reading.
the cowboy-
Okay, who's going to get in touch with him?
I will get in touch with the cowboy.
Some what?
Lawn chairs.
Lawn
And a
chairs.
beer.
Yeah.
And no rain.
Koozie.
Fire pit.
Ooh,
Oh my
drinks.
goodness.
How are we doing for drinks?
Yeah, that's right.
What?
My
No.
sister's birthday is September 21st, and usually it snows on her
It
birthday.
does.
For the first.
First year we
Really?
moved here, we had
Oh,
21
Chili
inches of
Fest, our
snow.
first Chili Fest was snowy.
We could just do, I think KT's,
But you know what,
Yeah,
we'll get
beer
tents with,
and soft drinks.
with walls, we have to.
yeah.
But do we have to have a permit for that if we're doing beer?
That's a good question.
Are we doing beer? Do we want to do beer?
I mean,
If
I'm
we're-
not a
if
beer
we're-
drinker,
If we're
but
selling beer, for sure, we have to,
If you're just giving it away. But then you have to watch, I mean, the beer component, I think gets tricky for this. I would rather just do soft drinks and
Me too.
let
Okay,
people
that's fine.
figure out
I
what
think it's
they.
a part, people
Because
are
you
gonna
have to
bring their
check,
own
you
beer.
have to
Yeah.
check age and you have to.
It becomes too complicated and we don't really want it to be that complicated. So we
Yeah.
could just do soft drinks and Kate, if we do reach out to KT's, they will bring like a big thing of lemonade, if we want to
And they
that.
do a really good job. KT's Barbecue does.
Oh, nice. Oh, those are cool. Those are better than, I was thinking like the silver
They
ones.
got
I'm like,
the
why are you
colors. Oh my gosh, you were anticipating, right? Yeah.
Okay, September 21st, which is the Saturday for the line dancing and the barbecue
4
supper.
to 6.
4 to 6, line dancing, barbecue supper.
Don't forget cowboy poetry.
the gelato lady and.
Gelato
barbecue.
lady, KT's barbecue. Why don't you contact the Culinary Caveman and see if they're
If he's at all
interested and we
interested.
can just figure out some pricing.
Okay, and can we encourage them, us, whomever, to dress up in cowboy gear?
Yeah.
what if we, depending on our budget, and Dina's going, oh my God.
I have a hat for you.
Okay.
I was gonna say, you could go to Oriental Trading and they even have cowboy hats, and we could cut, you know, what are those things called?
Bandanas?
Bandanas.
We
Yeah,
should
but-
all wear a bandana.
Yeah.
yeah, everybody should have a bandana.
Patrick wanted me to do bandanas with the town logo on it.
Oh, so go ahead and do that. and then we'll have
That's
him-
adorable.
I like that, and because it was his idea, he can pay for it,
Out of his budget.
out of his budget.
That is adorable.
That is adorable, actually. I will look at Oriental Trading Company for straw cowboy hats. 'cause I
You just need
think
a
they're
couple
like
bales of
$1.
hay. That's all you need, a couple bales of hay.
Then you're there.
And you're done.
Sense of place.
Are there any outlets? We could even do like,
There are outlets by the pavilion.
because we could even do like bistro party lights. But that might be more.
It's 4 to 6, I don't think it's gonna be dark enough for your
September
lights.
21st.
At 6 o'clock, it could be getting dark.
If it's a beautiful night, people might even stay beyond 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so we could talk about lights.
But, okay, we got it set up.
Okay.
What, Christina?
I said, or it could snow.
Or it could snow. Yeah, thanks, now we
No,
have,
sorry.
we're just gonna be the bad weather group.
No.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the unveiling. We unfortunately did not get to the Superior Spectacular event follow-up.
We can talk about that at the
Mid-month,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sunset, September 21st will be 7 PM.
Oh, good,
You're
thank
so
you.
clever. Look at that. She's got information at her fingertips.
I know.
The bus shelter group has not met.
Right.
She took Melinda's place, Christine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just briefly though, Dina, do you have any, I know it's way past our bedtime, but since you won't be at our mid-month meeting, do you have anything that you'd like to talk to about the spectacular?
I brought the budget.
Okay.
I should say not the budget, because it's over, so I
Yeah.
brought the expenses, if you want to, I can just pass that out.
Yeah, that
And then
would-
you can have that for information for the.
Oh, yeah.
To way back.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I did give this to the manager Magley already, so, I'm sure,
Thank you.
I don't know who he was sending it to, but he asked me for it.
Okay, if we have a discussion, well, we will have a discussion at our mid-month meeting. So this was meant to be 3 events,
Oh, cool.
and we put it into one.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on dividing it back out to 3 events?
I think what we would cut, if we were to do that, is the artist stipends. So, one opportunity that we had by having this one was to put money towards getting artists to come willingly and create a new piece of art, just for us,
Did they all do that?
pretty much, yeah.
So where is all
So
that
where
art?
is it?
Oh, so in the agreement, they have agreed to allow us to display the artwork if we so choose throughout the next year. So we just need to decide. So if there was, one of the things I had planned to do was have you guys each go around and really take a look at the installations and see if you,
The only one I saw was the white.
was there, a couple things you loved?
Yeah.
So for example, we could bring it back to the line dance, or we could put it in front of town hall for a week.
Well,
or we could-
unfortunately, the entry thing was
Yeah.
just,
So that was one of the ideas.
That got destroyed?
well, when I went under it, it was like shredded and wet. Now, maybe it dried out.
It was shredded already,
Was it?
but, no.
No, I know, but I mean,
The
it
only
was,
damage that occurred to it was when it got removed and we, cut some of the ropes to get it
Okay.
down. So, but other than that.
can it be reassembled?
No, that was a rental.
That was a
So
rental?
that artwork was a rental, so you'll see on there,
The Archway rental? Okay, got
So
it.
that was an existing artwork we rented.
Okay,
She makes those she makes all of her art out of repurposed materials
Yeah.
and recycled materials. That's
Yeah.
one of her, things that she
Okay.
does.
So, all the ones that were artist stipends are able to come back. And then the decor, I was going to bring to the dialogue, but it all got ruined in the rain.
All of the stuff that was at the bar?
Yeah, almost all of it. So I'm waiting to hear from them if there's anything that's salvageable once it should be dry by now.
I never even saw it.
So they had some really fabulous, like big, huge cardboard designed reindeer and
Where was this?
animals
Where was
in the
this?
bar. It was so great.
I wanted to
didn't even
see.
get to the bar.
I didn't even get that
Yeah, I know.
far.
So those sorts of things we could bring back to other things.
Where are they now?
With the artist. So the artist owns them.
Okay.
But they agreed to loan them to us sometime this year if we
That would be
want.
nice of them.
Yeah,
That would be
nice
very
of them.
cool.
So anyway, that's the one thing that I think would be different if we needed to cover 3 events. The other thing too is we ended up having other expenses that I wasn't expecting. So we hired 2 maintenance crew members because we needed additional staff. And, you know, this event was not a parks
Right.
staff event. So we ended up hiring
Matthew?
$1,300 of 2 crew members. And
That's
their-
not on
and
here.
their
Yes, it
equipment.
is.
Yeah, it is.
Subcontract
I put
workers.
subcontract workers on.
Oh, got it, okay.
So that's one thing that hadn't been anticipated that potentially could be cut if we had more hands. You know what, I didn't keep a copy of that page myself.
Oh, here it is. You got it?
Here's extra.
Well, and
The food
honestly,
truck minimums, I mean, we were geared up to not even pay that. So that's $750 right there.
Oh.
They were geared up to make money that night.
And they would have made money
They
that
would
night.
have. They already sold, I think they sold 200 and, they each sold about $500 worth of food just in less than an hour.
I believe it, especially with the cooler
Yeah.
weather.
And
The
then,
t-shirts though, I'm thinking did not do
So,
well.
so they were giving them away, and people didn't know that. Because my son came home with one on, I said, so
Yeah.
what'd you pay for that? And he said, oh, Mom, it was free.
right,
Oh,
so what
okay.
ended up happening was they were supposed to sell them for $5. I don't know what happened in the communication, but they didn't bring their point of sale stuff to collect the money. So he had given away like 10 for free, and I found out, and we chatted, and he said, I'm sorry, I don't have my point of sale. And I said, okay, just give them away for free.
Yeah.
We
So-
bought the shirts though,
We
right?
did, yeah, so it was all covered, but,
So did he finish making?
yeah, so I brought the ones he made for all of us, or what he had on hand, and then they're making the rest, and then gonna give them to us.
So they'll give them, so we'll
Yes,
have the rest
yes,
of
we
them.
will have them.
Are you making him do most of them in yellow? Those are the ones that are easiest to turn.
Oh, that, yeah,
I
those,
don't actually know, I think he may have already done them by now, but I'll find out.
The purple didn't work at all on the
the
gray.
red was kind of blah.
The red was even blonde?
Yeah.
Oh.
The yellow was the
So
best. The
basically,
yellow is awesome. And even
I don't know about the teal.
if we
The other
edited,
thing is,
The yellow.
so I think what was successful is the entertainment.
Yes, they were great.
And then the artist stipends. I think that if we could in the future continue to pay artist stipends to get artists of quality here, that will go a long way.
The DJ was great too.
I was
Like the
gonna
whole
say,
time,
he
even with the
set the
lighting,
tone.
so I'm like, that guy's
But
awesome.
I always
agree with
knew
you.
that 20,000 was gonna be a real
Right.
large number for 3 events.
So what about, so one idea I think that I heard somebody throw out was having a mix of artisans that sell things that, you know, so it's sort of a combo of the museum and this, and then that way we're actually making some money.
And business booths, which
Yeah.
had not been planned.
And I think,
As long as they're art related.
well, we would want them to be doing something interactive, like the
Yeah.
music school that was offering to do some
Yeah.
musical kind of
Yeah.
component. Yeah.
What if there was like a contest where you rated too, and then that could actually be a space where, because someone made a comment about like having a dialogue about it or having somewhere to like digest what you've seen with immersive art. Not a
that's
contest, but
interesting.
something.
yeah, I mean, I heard a lot of interesting, odd, random, whatever you want to call, about the artists. And I think that if we do the artists next year, I really think we need to put a lot of time in, you know, what they were doing, the glass lady, Katie, my
And
daughter.
it could be more of an application process.
Yes.
This time we
Yeah,
had
that'd be
such
cool.
little time, it's essentially
There's
curated.
no, I mean, I think what we did was absolutely lovely, and I think all we want to do is just build on it and make it better.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that some were more successful than others, and
Right.
that, you know, that was also on the artists, because they could choose to do what they wanted there. They knew that people were gonna be interacting with them, and so.
And that was just pure timing.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So, but now we see what we can do, and with a little more time.
Okay, I just wanted to get the 3 versus 1, and then also Brixmor has to weigh in, because, you know, they may say, you can't do any.
Well, and I heard Michael's and TJ Maxx were really happy.
Oh, good. Everyone ran in their
Their
Target
staff,
too.
the staff were like, we don't mind people coming in when it rains, because people were shopping.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the thing that is, we need to have 4 entrances. 2 there up at the front between Michael's and
And we
TJ
can, we
Maxx.
can,
And then at the.
Yeah.
and let's do these little
And that's where
hues.
people need to be hired to
Yeah.
control that
We'll
door.
talk about that at
We'll
mid-month.
talk about that in
But thank you, I just needed to get that 3 versus 1 in the budget, so we can really,
Dina, thank you. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Your tail off.
Now you're
for
doing,
that.
did you, oh, no, yes.
Oh, really?
I know, and thank goodness that Patrick and Matt, they were there that night when the lightning started and the rain and.
To make that call.
To make the
Yeah,
call.
and to be honest, I think, on a staff level, we'll do our rundown too with Patrick, but I think an event has to have 5 staff.
Yes,
Yeah.
And,
because what would we have done if we wouldn't have had it? It would have been,
Yeah. By the way, one of our ladies,
and that's part of the budget.
one of our artists is doing a thing at the Denver Art Museum in October. I got something of it. I know that name.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Laura?
officially adjourning the meeting.
Lauren?